The taste as smooth as its name. And there is a crowd in excess of 50,000 people gathered here tonight for NASCAR's only night race. Good evening, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to what should be an exciting evening of competition. This racetrack has always led to some great competition down through the years, and it's also led to some crashes along the way. And there was a very bad crash earlier this weekend here at Bristol, just after practice began for the Winston Cup cars. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
This was the scene yesterday afternoon. Rusty Wallace's Kodiak Pontiac barrel rolling 5, 6, 7 times and comes to a halt on the pit wall. Rusty recovering in a nearby hospital, and this car getting treated by the Kodiak crew. They're taking parts off and putting it on this car, a show car that has not raced for 6 or 7 months. It's been sitting in a mall. They borrowed parts. They put their own pieces together. The crew, with trembling hands, worked through the wee hours of the morning, rebuilding the car and hoping for Rusty's return.
He sent us a little note from the hospital, a couple things to do to the car, so it's a good indication that he's ready to race. The main thing is if Rusty's okay, and he seemed to be. Jimmy and I went to the hospital with him, and that's our main concern. Not a championship, not winning a race, but you know, we're getting ready to win the race tomorrow night. We're not just throwing the car together. That's probably why we'll be here all night. And, like I say, it wasn't the tires' fault. It was, we're not sure what it was yet. We're trying to get a pinpoint.
Well, the good news is that Rusty Wallace was discharged from Bristol Memorial Hospital. Was the very first driver to arrive at the racetrack this morning. He qualified this backup Kodiak Pontiac in 17th starting spot. And Rusty, the last time you and I met at this race car yesterday, things weren't quite so relaxed.
No, they really weren't. I don't think I could breathe. If it wasn't for you, I'd tell them I'm not going to be here tonight. But I appreciate everything everybody did. It was a pretty scary moment. I never thought you could flip 6 times in this half-mile track, but it just goes to show you how fast Bristol is and what type of forces you really do have in this corner. I blew a right front tire out because they didn't have enough clearance between the ball joint and the tire. Boy, when that happened, there was no control, and I didn't think the thing was ever going to stop.
How do you feel now?
I feel very good. I got a sore neck, and this is the wrong place to have a sore neck at because it's got a lot of G-forces in the corner. I'm going to go as long as I can. I expect to run all night long with no problem. But if we have a lot of long green flag laps, it just gets tiring on me. I'm going to have to pick a caution flag out if it comes out and put Larry Pearson in the car. But I don't plan on doing that.
We'll keep an eye on Rusty Wallace. Larry Pearson standing by in the Kodiak pits. Let's go upstairs to Ned Jarrett. Ned?
Well, thank you, Jerry. Over the years, this has been one of the toughest tracks on the drivers and the cars because of the high speeds and the high banks. The cars would get airborne coming off of turn 2 and going into turn 3. So the officials decided to try to do something about that. They repaved portions of the racetrack, but it didn't help. It hurt. Now the cars are jumping a little bit higher off of the ground, putting a tremendous amount of stress on the chassis of the car, making it a little bit tough to pass as well. Working with us tonight in the booth is Gary Nelson, crew chief. And Gary, it's got to be tough on those race cars. What will it do to them?
Well, you know, Bristol has always been the toughest on the equipment. Before coming to Bristol, you X-ray and magnify every part of the car. But with the added bumps, you're just going to have to cross your fingers as a crew chief and hope everything holds together.
Well, everybody is hoping that their cars will last tonight. Turn 3 might be a problem, and more on that story. Here's Larry Newby.
Ned, I am standing by right in the groove in turn 3 over one of those patches that you made earlier reference to. It was here that the first drivers' meeting of today, though be it informal, actually took place. Darrell Waltrip, Davey Allison, Sterling Marlin, among others, out to take a very close inspection of what they consider to be unsafe track conditions. Let's take you right down under the surface here. This is turn 3 as the 3,500-pound cars slam into the 36-degree banking. You can see it causes chunking right here, causing a washboard effect and also some slippery gravel being spread around this corner. On one hand, this is not on routine. This has always been a serious maintenance problem in racing, maintenance of a high-banked half-mile paved racetrack. But on the other hand, NASCAR considers it so significant that as the real drivers' meeting broke up today, they vowed that these conditions will not exist when the circuit returns here in the spring.
All right, thank you, Larry. You know, we referred to the high banks of Michigan International Speedway last week. Those banks were only 18 degrees. These are 36. And 32 are standing by, ready to go for 500 laps at Bristol, and we'll be back with the lineup after this. For tonight's Busch 500 is $354,495. And the starters are lined up along the main straightaway here, waiting the signal to start engines. They'll take a couple of warm-up laps before they get the green flag for 500 laps of racing. And now let's take a look at the starting lineup. The cars qualified last week, of course, or last night, rather, live here on ESPN. The pole sitter for tonight's race will be Alan Kulwicki with a new race record of 116.893. He's in the Xerox Ford car number 7. Alongside in row number 1 for tonight's race will be Mark Martin, who hails from Batesville, Arkansas. He drives the Strolite Ford car number 6. Going to row number 2 now, it'll be Jeff Bodine from Chemung, New York. He drives the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, car number 5. He qualified at 115.772. Alongside in row number 2 will be Darrell Waltrip from Franklin, Tennessee, the number 17 Tide Chevrolet. Going to row number 3 now, it'll be Dale Earnhardt from Mooresville, North Carolina in the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, car number 3. And alongside in row number 3 will be Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, the number 9 Coors Motorcraft Ford. In the 4th row will be car number 33, the Skull Bandit Chevrolet, driven by Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina. And to his outside will be Rick Wilson from Bartow, Florida, in the number 4 Kodak Oldsmobile. In the 5th row from Fenton, Missouri, Ken Schrader, who'll drive the number 25 Folger Chevrolet. Alongside in row number 5 from Corpus Christi, Texas, Terry Lamotti driving car number 11, the Budweiser Chevrolet. In the 6th row, it'll be Davey Allison in 28 and Butch Miller in 31. The 7th row, Sterling Marlin in 44 and Derry Cope in number 68. The 8th row consists of Dale Jarrett in car number 29 and Brett Bodine in 15. The 9th row, Rusty Wallace in 27 and Dave Marcus in 71. As you look at the rest of the field, Ned, the field is bunched very tightly tonight in terms of the time they qualified at.
Only 0.6 of a second separates first place and 30th place in the field here this evening. It is a very, very tight field. That means we're going to see some very, very tight racing. Of course, there were 8 drivers who did not make the field here today. 38 tried. Lee Falk, Tommy Ellis driving in replacement of Benny Parsons on a one-race deal here, failed to get the Junie Donlevy car in the field, and that's the first time since 1976 that Junie Donlevy's car did not get in the field. Mike Potter, Jimmy Means, J.D. McDuffie, Ronnie Thomas, Morgan Shepard, and Ken Bouchard. Neither of those made the race.
All right, let's look specifically at this racetrack. It is 0.533 miles in length. The banking is 36 degrees. The width of the track is 70 feet. It's a 500-lap affair, and they'll get about 165 to 180 laps before having to come in for a refuel. And we are now ready to go for the command to start engines. As 32 await the order, they will be firing up their motors and warming them up just briefly here on the main straightaway before taking a couple of warm-up laps. There's the signal, and everybody gets going. There is Dale Earnhardt, who is starting his GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, set to go. The in-car camera tonight will be carried by Dale Jarrett in the Hardee's Oldsmobile, and he should give us some exciting pictures from his starting position, which is 15th. Right behind Sterling Marlin in the number 44 Piedmont Oldsmobile. There are the balloons being released from the area outside of turns number 1 and 2, and Harry Gant sits ready to go in his Skull Bandit Chevrolet.
It'll be interesting to see how the Fords who qualified on the front row, if they'll be able to maintain those positions. It's a little bit of a surprise because the General Motors cars here in the past have worked so well on this racetrack, but I'll tell you, the Ford guys came here loaded for bear tonight.
I'll tell you something I noticed on that from that in-car camera shot on Dale Jarrett's car. He had a pair of clear goggles hanging on a mirror. You know, right now the sun is just setting over the hills. The sun will be in his eyes going into turn 1 and into turn 2. There, he's putting on the goggles now. Some of the drivers are going to start with some shaded goggles and then go to the clear goggles later. Looks like Dale Jarrett has gone with the clear ones to start with.
Now, one thing that we see in many of the daytime races during the summer is drivers using cool suits. I don't know if there's anyone using a cool suit here tonight. There was speculation that Richard Petty might use one, but the air will get cooler here as time goes on tonight, and most of them have air ducts that'll push fresh air inside the car, so they're depending on that to keep them cool in the cars.
Well, this is NASCAR's only night race, and I'm sure it creates special problems as far as vision is concerned.
Well, it is, but thanks to ESPN televising it and their extra lights here tonight, that helps tremendously because it used to be a tough track to see on.
There is Michael Waltrip, who was one of the provisional starters. He was stalled here on the main straightaway, but now begins to move away and catch up with the rest of the field. Bobby Hillin Jr. and Michael Waltrip were the provisional starters, 31st and 32nd. All of the starters tonight are on Goodyears. However, many have Hoosiers mounted in the pits and may choose to go to them as the race goes on. Here's the first of a couple of warm-up laps. They are being given the signal of one more lap to go before we get the green flag. Let's go to Jerry Punch quickly.
Well, you mentioned the cool suits. There's already been a problem with the cool suit. We haven't even started the race yet. Mark Martin got in the car and put the cool suit on. And just before they started engines, the cool suit wouldn't work. He tried to get out of it. He didn't have time to get out of it, so they had to fix it. Now, they have fixed it, they think, or they hope. But he's riding in a car now with the possibly malfunctioning cool suit already.
There have been 13 different winners in Winston Cup this year. It ties a record set in '86, so we could break the record tonight, and it could be broken by one of these two guys on the front row. Neither has ever won a Winston Cup race. Alan Kulwicki, the pole sitter, at 116.893, and Mark Martin at 116.616.
They continue to be very strong, not only in qualifying, but in practice this afternoon. Everybody down pit road was saying they were the people to beat. Okay, we're ready to go racing.
Here they come off of corner number 4. The crowd is on its feet cheering and waving, and the green flag waves. The Busch 500 is underway. Side by side, two abreast racing through the first and second corners, but everybody is through there okay. Alan Kulwicki has the lead. The field comes out of turn number 4 for the first time. It's Kulwicki. Oh, and Kulwicki has a problem. The car is suddenly darting toward the right. He loses several positions as Mark Martin, Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, and Harry Gant all pass him, and there was a problem with his car.
Yeah, but that car is definitely not running up to speed for Alan Kulwicki. And here's a crash going into turn 3. That's Brad Knopfsinger in the car number 98. And Dave Mader,
driven by Dave Mader III, who is making his first Winston Cup start. There's a bumper or something laying on the track there by the Knopfsinger car, which is stalled in the middle of the racetrack.
And you can see that new pavement there just in front of Knopfsinger's car that Larry Newber was talking about earlier in the race. And, of course, that's where we get our first spin out here this evening.
You know, NASCAR has changed the pace car situation just slightly. The pace car had pulled out right near where that wreck was in the third turn. The cars had not yet received the yellow. At least the lead cars hadn't, but everybody slowed down. They did not race back to the yellow flag. We're going to watch that tonight and see how that worked.
Here is Alan Kulwicki suddenly coming out of turn number 2. The car just went right on him, and he got passed by several, and he was having problems controlling it in 3 and 4 also. So Alan Kulwicki...
His car just broke loose, it looked like, Bob, as he started off of turn 2. And here is the crash now as they went into turn 3. And you can see Dave Mader down on the inside, the car spinning the wrong way as he headed up the backstretch into turn 3 and was hit by Brad Knopfsinger. Brad had nowhere to go as Mader slid out in front of him.
Well, Dave Mader III in his first Winston Cup race. However, he has won at this racetrack in All-American Challenge competition. Let's go to Larry Newber.
Well, Bob Allen has radioed from the car that he did come into contact, slight contact with Mark Martin. He doesn't know if that contact sent his car out of control or if he has a tire going down. And right now what's going on is that you can see Allen coming down the front stretch, moving the car back and forth. He's trying to get a sense of that car, even though we're going at slow speed, whether or not there is the right amount of air on all 4 corners of that car. They don't know yet.
And they don't want to make a pit stop unless they absolutely have to, because he doesn't want to give up the track position. He'd be at the rear of the pack, but maybe he will have to. We'll see if he does come in the next time around.
Well, the information we're getting from our spotters is that he will indeed be coming in for a quick check of that car. We'll wait and see whether or not he does enter pit road here on the main straightaway. There are pits in both the main stretch and the back stretch.
Yeah, you know, you hate to come in, but this is a long race, 500 laps. If you think you have a tire problem, you should come into the pits and check it out. Yeah, that's what Alan Kulwicki is doing. He's headed for the pit road now.
Dropping low on the racetrack on the apron, now speeding up just a little bit to enter the pit area, and the signal is being given for one more lap. Here comes Alan Kulwicki. Larry.
The man who sat on the pole and who has tied Bill Elliott for the most poles so far in 1988, who had high hopes for today's race. They first go to the outside, the right side of the car. Barry Dodson from Rusty Wallace's crew goes over and kicks the left front to see whether or not that's down. Barry just as a precautionary measure, trying to himself get as informed as he possibly can. They're going to go to all 4 sides of that car because, as we mentioned the last time Ellen went by, they just didn't know. They never really confirmed that they had a tire going down. But Gary, I think you hit it right on the head, Gary and Ned, when you're talking about in a race of this length and with what's at stake here, track conditions, they didn't really have any choice but to come in. I'm a little surprised that Allen did not come in 1 lap earlier.
Yeah, it's such a shame to win the pole position and then have a problem early. But, you know, if he can work his way back up through traffic, he's got just as good a chance as just about anybody of winning.
So the field now will be restarted as the pace car comes in. Mark Martin is at the point. Jeff Bodine is behind him. Dale Earnhardt, then Darrell Waltrip, Harry Gant, Rick Wilson, Bill Elliott, Ken Schrader, and Terry Labonte, and Davey Allison. The green flag is out once again, and we are back to racing. It didn't take long for us to have the first incident of the event. It occurred on lap number 1 when Dave Mader III and Brad Knopfsinger got together. Knopfsinger's car is out of the race. Mader is still in. Car of Dale Jarrett.
Well, he's battling behind the Piedmont Airlines car of Sterling Marlin and Brett Bodine, who are running side by side.
Boy, look how rough the track is, how bumpy it is, and how close they can still run even at those bumps, over those bumps.
And look at the work that Dale Jarrett is doing just to maintain control of that car. And think of the fact that you got to do this for 500 laps.
That is 2,000 turns.
Mark Martin out in front of battle for second place. Developing Dale Earnhardt is on the inside of Jeff Bodine, and Dale Earnhardt takes second place away from Jeff. Now Darrell Waltrip is right behind Jeff Bodine and will try to move into third spot. Dale Earnhardt, though, now has gone to second and has a little bit of racetrack before he can close in on the leader, who is Mark Martin. There is Jeff Bodine in the yellow and white number 5, and Darrell Waltrip in the bright orange and white Tide-sponsored Chevrolet car number 17. Behind Darrell Waltrip is Harry Gant, who had a great qualifying effort last night, live here on ESPN, and also Rick Wilson. Here's some traffic. That is Butch Miller in car number 31, and Dale Jarrett is right in the middle of this.
Well, they have been doing some fender banging and some paint swapping, Bob, back there in that pack of cars. You can see them bounce around.
Brett Bodine is in this skirmish for position. So is Sterling Marlin. Dale Jarrett has been able to pass Derek Cope. We watch him go down the backstretch from inside the Hardee's Oldsmobile. Behind Dale Jarrett is Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace, who is moving up through the crowd.
Now, Rusty started right on Dale Jarrett's back bumper, so Kyle has been able to get around him in some of the traffic. I expect Rusty sort of taking it easy right now, feeling that car out and certainly feeling himself out.
Yeah, he's got to be thinking that he's got to survive this race if he wants to complete the race. There is Bill Elliott, also Terry Labonte and Davey Allison, who are battling for position out there on the racetrack. And the number 25 Chevrolet of Ken Schrader is also involved in this. This is 8, 9, 10, and 11 right there. Side by side, Schrader and Davey Allison. Now Terry Labonte pulls alongside of Bill Elliott and can't get the position.
Coming off of that turn, he just simply couldn't get traction. He was all the way up there. Now he goes under there once again, coming off of turn 4, but that's a slick turn 2, but he made it work that time.
Terry Labonte takes the position away from Bill Elliott. And now Davey Allison will move to the inside of Bill Elliott, as Bill may have a problem. That car slides high on the racetrack. They race down the backstretch, and Davey Allison has the inside line. He gets the position, and Elliott really washes out.
Yes, he did. He went very high there and lost 2 positions, almost another one. Butch Miller driving the car number 31, relatively new to Winston Cup racing, but boy, he's getting in there, mixing it up with him.
Certainly not a newcomer to stock car racing by any means. This guy's leading ASA points and ARCO points. Butch Miller driving the number 31 Slender U Oldsmobile. The lead is held by Mark Martin. Second place belongs to Dale Earnhardt, and third is Jeff Bodine. We'll be back in just a moment. Earnhardt has gone into the lead of the Busch 500 in a Chevrolet, and as you can see, Chevrolet has won 7 of the 9 races, previous 9 races held here at Bristol. Earnhardt lapping a slower car, and this is the way that he got the lead from Mark Martin.
He came up very quickly on Mark Martin, moved right to the outside, which is a tough way to pass here at Bristol, but he made it with ease out there. His car is really working, just drove on around him and is driving away.
Bill Elliott, who is the defending winner of the race in the spring here at Bristol, also had a problem while we were in commercial. He came in for a pit stop. Dr. Jerry Punch can report.
Well, he lost 2 laps in the pits, but unscheduled stop. This is the problem right here. His right front tire was cut down. The segment on top of the tire, and the tire was cut down, and it began to lose air. The tire began to blister. Now, it's not a problem with the tire, but as it began to deflate, rubber began to peel away. But the original problem, well, he ran over something on the racetrack. There's a small cut here in the tire. and trouble for Bill Elliott. Now he's 2 laps down.
So Elliott has a lot of work to do to get back on the lead lap. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt is setting the pace here in the early going as he is about to catch the slower traffic. In front of him is Michael Waltrip in the number 30 machine. The number 8 car of Bobby Hillin Jr., Neil Bonnet, Mike Alexander, and Alan Kowicki are all right ahead of Dale Earnhardt.
I tell you, it's awfully easy to get left on this racetrack. When someone breaks out like Earnhardt has here, they catch those back cars in a hurry, and they're running very good. Here's Darrell Waltrip moving on the outside of Rodney Combs, car number 97. Harry Gant right on his front.
This is the battle for 4th position. The number 17 of Darrell Waltrip, the 33 of Harry Gant, and the number 4 car, the yellow Kodak car driven by Rick Wilson. 4th and 5th here, Darrell Waltrip and Harry Gant.
Boy, this is great racing so early in this long race. You know, this is really an endurance race. The drivers have to be thinking endurance, just hang in there and be there at the finish. But they're racing awful hard right here, especially Harry Gant and Darrell Waltrip.
Harry has just picked up that 4th position, passing Darrell Waltrip. And Dale Earnhardt is really involved in some heavy race traffic. There's a whole bunch of cars stacked up right ahead of him.
And that is tough to work through that traffic on this racetrack. While that's going on, Phil Parsons has come into the pits for an unscheduled pit stop on his Cole Crown Oldsmobile. There, Earnhardt put the bumper to Mike Waltrip, but the yellow flag is out.
Caution is on the racetrack for the 2nd time. And there is a piece of debris on the racetrack, we understand.
Well, that was a break for Michael Waltrip and several others because Earnhardt was trying to put a lap on him. You can see Waltrip bump Bobby Hillin a little bit. Here, Earnhardt comes down on the inside. There's Phil Parsons going into the pits, that unscheduled pit stop for him. That was the lap before the caution came out.
It looked like a piece of debris off the left front headlight of Michael Waltrip's car that caused the caution, the debris after he bumped Bobby Hillin. So he may not have known it, but he saved himself from being lapped at least that time.
We have several cars making pit stops. Here's Jerry Punch.
Dale Earnhardt brings the Good Race Chevrolet in. Now he's pitting all the way down toward turn 1. He gets to pick this pit by virtue of being the reigning Winston Cup champion. He will change right side tires, come around and change left side tire. As he will get a full 4 tire change. They'll get a good chance to check and see what kind of tire wear they're getting here. Dale Earnhardt pitting his car. Larry Newber up in Mark Martin pit. Larry?
Well, Jerry, I'm at the opposite end of the pits, down near turn number 4. We're pitted right in front of Phil Parsons, who's come in with overheating problems. Mark Martin's crew, they took on 4 tires too. It was a routine pit stop, as they almost always are under a caution flag. They're still working, by the way, on Phil Parsons' situation. They've got a badly overheating car. Darrell Waltrip also completed a flawless pit stop down here during this yellow flag.
Darrell Waltrip, Davey Allison, Ricky Rudd, Martin Earnhardt, Sterling Marlin, Brett Bodine all made pit stops during this caution period, and so did the number 25 car of Ken Schrader. So we are 34 laps now into the 500 laps, Busch 500 from Bristol, and we'll be right back after this message. Rejoin us. We are about to go back to racing as Jeff Bodine brings him off the 4th corner at a very slow pace. Finally, the green flag comes out, and Bodine jumps ahead. But look at Bill Elliott, who is struggling and trying to get one of the 2 laps back that he lost during an unscheduled pit stop. There's Bill, car number 9, 2 laps down to the field, right behind the leader, however, Jeff Bodine. We'll see if he can get 1 lap back here. Traffic. Look at this. And Earnhardt is right in the middle of the heaviest again. He's right behind the 75 car of Neil Bonnet and the 44 of Sterling Marlin. 2 lanes there in turns number 3 and 4 as he tries to pass the slower traffic. There is Rusty Wallace in the number 27 car that Dale is on the outside of, and now he's on the high side of Dave Mater III in car number 20, who was involved in our first caution. Here is Bill Elliott trying to get 1 lap back. They come off the 4th corner side by side. He doesn't have it yet as Jeff Bodine hangs on.
Well, of course, Elliott has 4 fresh tires, and now he does move around him as they come off of turn 2. So that puts him only 1 lap down if he can stay out there and if he can get a caution.
That was a tough decision during that caution period, some 30 some laps into the race for Dale Earnhardt to come into pits and several of the leaders. But Jeff Bodine, Harry Gant, Rick Wilson, and Terry Labonte all stayed on the racetrack along with a lot of others. That put Earnhardt way back in the pack. He's going to have to do some racing, but he's got more gas in case no cautions come out.
There is Rusty Wallace. And beside him is the green number 26 car driven by Ricky Rudd. Now he's behind Rusty Wallace as there is Dale Earnhardt in the number 3 car right behind the 15
Waltrip came out of the pits and almost in front of Jeff Bodine, but Bodine had to get on the binders very hard going into turn 4 to keep from running over it.
We continue to watch Dale Earnhardt move up through the pack, having made a pit stop during our second caution period of the evening. Now to the high side of Brett Bodine as Jeff Bodine leads this race with Harry Gant running in second position in the number 33 car. Rick Wilson is in number 4 running third, and in fourth position is the 11 Budweiser-sponsored Junior Johnson prepared Terry Labonte machine.
Well, that is really some close racing. You know, it's just now becoming dusk. As it gets darker and darker, you'll see sparks coming out from under these cars as they bottom out, going in and out of the bumps through the turns.
Does that create any problems, or is that routine on this race?
Well, minor scrapes with the chassis aren't bad, but when it really hits hard, it sends that it really takes traction away from the tires. The chassis is actually riding on the racetrack, and it can slide up a groove or a half a groove. The drivers always complain about it. You run the car pretty high here at Bristol, but you don't want to run so high that you slow the car down also.
Well, a couple of Chevrolets battling it out here with Harry Gant right on the back bumper of Jeff Bodine, making a real race out of it. And now Harry Gant goes to the inside of Jeff coming off the second corner, but Bodine has the faster line.
Sometimes it's tough to get traction down on the inside of the racetrack. Dale Earnhardt made his pass on Mark Martin on the outside, but Bodine using up the racetrack to his advantage, but now Gant's going to try it again down on the inside. But once again, he can't get traction off that turn.
And coming off the second corner, you got a shot of it just a second ago. You can see one of the areas that is very, very precautious on this racetrack. It's where they cross over, where the traffic and the pedestrians cross from the outside of the track to the inside, and they put some pavement down there, and it's created a real bump. You can see the cars actually get off the ground as they come off the second corner.
And you better have the car positioned right as you come off that turn, or it'll get out from under you.
Harry Gant trying to make a bold move on Jeff Bodine, but he remains in that second position. Again, he takes his nose to the inside of Bodine coming off the second corner. Now Gant is still to the inside. Let's see if he can make a pass here.
Well, he had the nose up there as he went into the turn. He does make the pass now coming off turn 4.
Boy, that is tough. Not only do you have to try and pass the other guy without causing a wreck or bumping him, but you also have to avoid the biggest parts of the bumps. And you know the drivers know which bumps are bigger than others. And it's a pass like that, Harry Gant really had to stick his neck out.
With another unscheduled pit stop for him. They're going to change the right side tires right now. So Alan Kowicki, who has such high hopes here tonight, his hopes are dwindling away.
There are the first 4 cars running right together on the racetrack, but now Harry Gant begins to stretch it out just a little bit. On second place, Jeff Bodine. Third place, Rick Wilson. And fourth place, Terry Labonte. We're live at Bristol International Raceway for the Busch 500.
International Raceway, problem for Mike Alexander, subbing for Bobby Allison in the Miller High Life Buick. Alexander's car smoking heavily. The NASCAR black flagging, and they are going to bring the car behind pit wall. There are something smoking, possibly something leaking from the engine compartment. They will bring this car number 12 back behind pit wall, and we'll try to get a comment as to what the problem actually is.
So while Mike Alexander goes behind the wall, Harry Gant on the racetrack is just leaving everybody in his wake as he is running a fine race. And there is the Mike Waltrip car, which is smoking badly in the pit area on the backstretch. And Michael has had problems, it seems, from the very drop of the green flag, and now has come into the pits, and a lot of smoke is coming from that race car.
It seems like Michael Waltrip has dropped out of a lot of races this year from overheating. I wonder if that's his problem now. It looks like something's awful hot down there.
There is Harry Gant, the leader of this race, and Dr. Jerry Punch is with Mike Alexander.
Well, Mike's still sitting in the car. Mike, what's the problem with the car? What's wrong?
Well, I tell you, it's awfully rough out there. What we've done, we've knocked the fuel pump off the car. A lot of oil, a lot of water going everywhere. So, you know, it's an unfortunate situation for us because, you know, we're not running that bad. We started back there, but we're not running that bad. It's just a rough and dangerous racetrack right now.
Well, that's exactly what happened to Dale Earnhardt back in the spring. Remember, he was leading, and he broke broke a fuel pump on his Goodrich Chevrolet. So it's a rough afternoon, and it's just getting started here at Bristol.
Mike Alexander in a fine substitute role for Bobby Allison. We're watching the number 25 car of Ken Schrader and the 43 machine of Richard Patty battle for position. This is the 19th and 20th spots. The number 8 car of Bobby Hillin Jr. is a lap car.
And Dale Earnhardt is really coming up through the field. He made a pit stop, remember, during that caution period. He now has moved up to the 7th position. Dave Marcus is running 6th right on the back bumper of Dale Jarrett, who is running 5th, and Rick Wilson running in the 4th position. But Earnhardt is definitely on the move.
Well, Ken Schrader now finds the opportunity, as does Terry Labonte, as he pulls alongside momentarily Jeff Bodine. But it is Terry Labonte remaining in 3rd position at the moment. Harry Gant with almost a full straightaway lead now on 2nd place Bodine and 3rd place Terry Labonte. And you remember Gant was a leader here in the spring race that we televised.
In fact, he led more laps than any other driver and was just running away from the field. And there was some sort of a mix-up in the pit situation over there. Gant parked the car and went home.
Yeah, you can imagine Harry Gant having the fastest car in the spring race here and not winning, coming home really empty-handed. I know he's got something to prove. As long as he's gone without winning a race, I think he's really trying hard to win here tonight.
He drives this track as well as anyone. He takes a good line around the track, and he's quick to go high in the turns and trying to get around those bumps as much as he possibly can. But look at this pass, or at least a try for a pass by Terry Labonte.
These guys are really going at it again. This is for 2nd position. Jeff Bodine is in number 5, and Terry Labonte is in car number 11. There's that bump coming off the 2nd corner. Now we'll see what tactic Labonte uses here in the 3rd and 4th corners. He may have the momentum this time. Nope, still doesn't have it as Jeff Bodine holds off this Labonte challenge for 2nd.
But I've been watching Dale Earnhardt move up through the pack, and he's generally using the high groove. So when Terry Labonte gets under Jeff and pushes him up into the high groove, Jeff gets a little bit better traction. I think Earnhardt's found it so far. We'll have to watch and see.
A little bit of contact there between Bodine and Terry Labonte as the cars were in corner number 3. Now Bodine's car high on the racetrack, and Labonte is right alongside him, but good straightaway speed for Jeff Bodine.
Yeah, but I believe Terry will get it this time. Oh, Rick Wilson into the wall in turn 3. He hit the wall hard going into that turn. It looked like he might have blown a tire.
So Rick Wilson's car is still moving down the front straightaway here. Still under power. He's trying to get the car high on the racetrack and avoid everybody else that's coming behind him. But Rick Wilson is going to bring out our 3rd caution period of the evening. And there's a car high on the racetrack. A lot of smoke coming from it on the right corner of the car. And Terry Labonte has come in for a pit stop.
We got some problems here. Labonte shouldn't be in the pits. Yeah, he might be all right. Yeah, the pace car isn't on the racetrack yet, but it's about to pull out. I think Labonte's crew made a very smart move by coming in. I thought it was awful risky. Pace car is just now going in a 3rd turn. They got about 15 seconds to finish the pit stop.
Again, the pace car is picking up the field in turn number 3. And there is Rick Wilson, who goes behind the wall here on the main straightaway. And they'll try to possibly get that car back into the race. The leaders are pitting, including Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Bodine, Harry Gant, and let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, Jeff Bodine, who did not make a pit stop on the early first caution on lap 33, now comes in, and they were glad to get him in. They had a problem with the car pushing. Waddell Wilson told me that he could not get the car turned in the corner, so Harry Gant taking all 4 tires as well. Gant's car getting 4 fresh tires, as is the Levi Garrett Chevrolet of Jeff Bodine. You're seeing Jeff Bodine's car. Bodine's car now off the jack, moving out of the way. He will beat Harry Gant down pit road, and now Gant makes his way down pit road. Meanwhile, others are getting 4 fresh tires as well.
Bodine does beat Mark Martin, Harry Gant, and others out of pit road, and the number 25 car of Ken Schrader remains in the pits with the hood up, and so is the 44 car of Sterling Marlin.
Marlin had come in the pits during the green flag, an unscheduled pit stop for him and the Piedmont Airlines team, so he has some problems.
And Ken Schrader has pulled back out onto the racetrack as the crew goes to work on the Rick Wilson car to see if they can salvage it and get it back in the race. The right front tire is missing from that car. He apparently had a tire go down and hit the wall hard in turn number 3. So pit stops being made and the 3rd caution period out for the evening. We'll be back with more of our live coverage right after this. Number 2 having just received the green flag on lap number 26. We're back to racing. There is the in-car. Dale Jarrett handling the Hardee's Oldsmobile. He is in 2nd place, the 4th car on the racetrack.
Bill Elliott up there in the front. He just got a jump, and he is really technically in the lead lap now. He's got back most of his laps that he's lost, but he is just that close from being back down 1 lap.
The leader of the race is Terry Labonte, and Dale Jarrett is in second position. His number 7 Xerox car is ahead of our in-car camera. That is Alan Kowicki, and he too is a lap down.
Boy, what a bump. What a bump right there coming off second turn.
Alan Kowicki is trying to get around Terry Labonte up in front of Dale Jarrett there to get one of his laps back.
Right about here where that big bump is. You can see it right there.
That's Dave Marcus alongside of Dale Jarrett, the number 71 car.
I think Jarrett only took on 2 tires during that pit stop. He's pitting on the backstretch here. Looks like the car is going a little bit high in the turns with him.
And there's Dale Earnhardt, who is right behind Dale Jarrett, and also right behind Dave Marcus.
Earnhardt appears to be a little impatient with Marcus and Jarrett right now. He's right on Marcus's bumper.
He is running second in the race right now, or just about to make that third, as Dave Marcus is in second position in car number 71. There is Earnhardt to the inside of Dale Jarrett, and now moves into third place. Taking a lap with Dale Jarrett, as we see in front of him, Earnhardt to the outside and Dave Marcus to the inside.
That was a brave move.
Sure was.
But Earnhardt's car is working so well. Here's Kyle Petty. He's really running tonight. That car has been handling well. He's come up through the pack several times tonight. Now he's up in the 5th position right now, trying to move around Dale Jarrett.
A little bit earlier, we had a caution period brought out by Rick Wilson, and this is how it is seen from the in-car camera of Dale Jarrett. It'll be right ahead. Watch the yellow car head for the outside. Just didn't turn going into turn number 3. Their right front obviously going down. Rick Wilson hard into the wall. Larry Newber is with him.
Rick, you've been spending much of this season on Hoosier tires. I saw you having a conversation with Bob Newton after your accident. What was the essence of that?
Well, we would put a right front tire. And then back off of the car trying to save the tire and just loaded right side sidewall out of it. One of them deals, you know, I had experienced that with the Hoosiers. But tonight I was on Goodyear and I loaded into them.
Were you able to determine, was it a tire failure? Was it because of the racetrack? Or did you guys have mechanical problems like Rusty Wallace?
We didn't have a mechanical problem. Goodyear is looking at the tire now, but it just loaded the sidewall right out of it.
Okay, Rick Wilson is okay, and they're still trying to effect repairs on this car. They're working feverishly.
Not only do the guys that work the pit area have to work physically, but boy, their throats and voices also get to work out because the noise down there in the pit area is just unbelievable. It's very difficult to hear.
Oh, Bristol, your ears will ring for days after a race here at Bristol. I can remember. You just don't talk. And then you come up with hand signals and expressions to tell people what you want to do, especially in the pit.
We are watching Kyle Petty in car number 21, Dale Jarrett in number 29, as they battle for the 4th position. The leader is Terry Labonte, Dale Earnhardt is second, Dave Marcus is third, and then Kyle Petty and the Hardee's Oldsmobile being driven by Dale Jarrett. There's the leader, Terry Labonte, as he is on the outside of the number 2 car, driven by Ernie Irvin. But Terry Labonte disposes of him nicely as they go down the front straightaway. You can see the car bottoming out there as Labonte continues to hold on to the lead. Earlier in the weekend, the question to him, what do you have to do to win here at Bristol?
To run here, to win here, you've got to really run good all day. You can be off just a little bit and you can get a lap down before you know it. A lot of times here, you'll see the guys take off. You'll see 3 or 4, maybe 5 cars that will finally eliminate everybody else. They'll all be in a lap by themselves. You've got to stay in that group all day if you're going to win.
Well, right now it is Terry Labonte coming in for a pit stop, and Jerry Punch to report on it.
Terry Labonte just radioed in and told Junior Johnson that he thought he had a tire going down, and Junior runs out to look as the car comes in, and Junior signals at the right side or left side of the car. So they have the car on a jack and change tires, and now they are waving Tim Brewer, looking beneath the front of the car, and he waves at Terry. He says, hey, that's not a tire. We've got something bad wrong here in the front end of the car. Have a
so-called steering arm there, and apparently old Bristol has already taken its toll on Terry Labonte.
Well, you saw just a few laps ago as we were showing Terry Labonte going into the turns, he was sparking a lot harder than anybody else. Something was really bottoming out on his car, and that's got to put a tremendous load through all of the suspension components.
So with Terry Labonte sitting in the pit area and the crew working on it, there you can see Michael Waltrip and Rick Wilson, both of whom have dropped out of the race, conferring and talking about what's going on the racetrack. The lead is held by Dale Earnhardt in car number 3, the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. Dave Marcus is now in 2nd position. 3rd is Kyle Petty. 4th is Dale Jarrett, and in 5th position is Lake Speed.
This is the first time tonight that Lake Speed has set up in the top 5, but he's running a very good race. He's just about a car length off the bumper of Dale Jarrett.
Well, Dale Earnhardt just keeps running a little bit higher and a little bit higher down in those turn 1
But he's coming into the pits right now. That's scheduled pit stop for Dale Earnhardt.
So action all over the place. Here is Dale Earnhardt about to stop at the Richard Childress pit, and Jerry Punch is there again.
Dale Earnhardt brings the Goodwrench Chevrolet in, and they will change right side tires. Now, apparently Dale radioed in. He thought he might have had a tire going down. The right rear tire rolls away from the car, and he has certainly got a problem. So 11.9 seconds, a great pit stop, and it will cost him valuable time here under the green.
One lap down, Jerry Punch, to the leaders as they went around as Earnhardt comes out of the pit. So he is a lap down now, and Dave Marcus, I beg your pardon, Kyle Petty now has moved around Dave Marcus and has taken the lead.
We have a spin as the number 31 car of Butch Miller and Ricky Rudd come together in turn number 4, and Butch Miller slides to the inside of the track, making slight contact with the inside wall, damaging the right rear of the car just a little bit, and there's debris on the racetrack. The caution is out for the 4th time already.
Boy, I don't care who you are or what divisions you've raced in, how many races you've won. When you race at Bristol, you're going to spin out for the first couple times you come here, and I think Butch Miller is going through his initiation right now.
Well, let's see what happened as they came off of turn 4. Ricky Rudd, it looked like, we'll see here in just a moment as Butch Miller gets his car to going. Rudd came in down on the inside of Butch Miller. Butch came down just a little bit, but they got together as they came off of the turn, and Ricky just kept his foot on the accelerator, it looks like, and around goes Butch Miller in the Slender U Oldsmobile.
Well, Butch Miller has raced here at Bristol in Winston Cup competition. He was 16th in the Valleydale 500 back in 1986.
Yeah, just a couple of the teams are making pit stops now. Jeff Bodine, Bill Elliott, and Alan Kowicki. It looks...
As you can see the work there on the Jeff Bodine car, they are changing the tires on the left side of that car. So while we are under caution for the 4th time this afternoon, we'll take a break and be tonight at Bristol International Raceway in eastern Tennessee. The Busch 500, we're under our 4th caution period of the evening. And this is the reason why we are under caution, as there was a contact between Ricky Rudd and Butch Miller. This is how it looked from our shot right below the starter stand.
Butch Rudd was down on the inside trying to make a pass, and his right front hit the left rear quarter panel of Butch Miller and sent him spinning around down the front straightaway.
So the field is under caution, and we go down to Dr. Jerry Punch, who is with Terry Labonte behind the pit wall.
Well, Terry Labonte is still sitting in the Budweiser Chevrolet. And Terry, what broke on the car? What happened?
Jerry, I'm not sure. I think it broke a steering arm or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but they're changing the spindle and steering arm.
Well, they're working on the car. The crew working just in front of us here. We swing around, you see, they're trying to work under extreme circumstances. That steering arm and brake assembly is so hot to keep pouring buckets of water on it, with steam pouring off. Here comes another bucket of water they're going to pour on that steering arm. Watch as they pour this water in here, and all the steam comes off that brake assembly. They are trying to work in there, and it is absolutely unbelievable. Let's go up pit road to Larry Newman. Larry?
Jerry, not only am I down pit road, but I'm in one of the forgotten corners of the pit area at this racetrack. I'm inside of turn number 3. But interestingly enough, the people who have chosen to pit here inside of number 3 in the backstretch, Lake Speed, Dave Marcus, Dale Jarrett, and Ricky Rudd, have raced among the leaders in this race since the green flag has dropped. Rudd, by the way, never came in during this yellow flag despite being involved in that incident, whereas Butch Miller in the Slender U number 31 car has been in about 3 times for temporary repairs, and they have not lost any more laps since coming in here. Among those 3 leaders that I mentioned, Dave Marcus, Lake Speed, and Dale Jarrett, they had complete service, load of fuel, and 4 tires all the way around.
All right, thank you, Larry. We remain under caution here with 104 laps completed. Well, we often speak of tire interliners. What are they and what do they do? Well, ESPN and NASCAR now present a quick fact. People that have gathered here tonight for the Busch 500, we're live, and we'll be right back with more of this race. 7 laps are completed in the Busch 500, and the leader of this race is Mark Martin, driving car number 6. Ricky Rudd is second. Harry Gant is third. The number 28 car of Davey Allison is fourth, and fifth is Darrell Waltrip. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, we're down in the Budweiser pits. Junior Johnson showing me. Junior, what broke on the car, Junior?
One of the 2 5/8 bolts that holds the fitment arm on the spindle. It just snapped a 5/18 bolt off right up even flush with a spindle.
Well, that's quite a bit of force here at Bristol. So they're getting the Budweiser car down off the jacks. He's going back out. We might mention Dale Earnhardt's extra pit stop was because he had cut a right rear tire down. He came in, remember, 1 lap before this latest caution flag. So he, by virtue of that pit stop, he will lose a lap to the field. He is now being shown 1 lap down.
Well, I've seen that problem before. The 2-piece spindle, the steering arm and spindle are bolted together, like you said, 5/8 bolts. But since I've seen that problem in the past, I'm surprised Junior hasn't gone to the 3/4 inch bolts. My team and most of the other teams that I know of have gone to a 3/4 stainless steel bolt to help prevent that from happening.
We have a tractor on the racetrack up in the 3rd and 4th turns, and Ned, are they sweeping away something or blowing it away?
What they're doing is blowing some of evidently there's some loose asphalt from the new paving that has come up and might be cutting some of the tires, so they're blowing that back down to the low side of the racetrack right now. So that's the reason for the extended caution period here. So we've got a little extra car out there. He's making a few laps, although I don't think he'll get any lap money, just a little agriculture work going on here.
We've had 10 lead changes already among 8 drivers, and while we have the opportunity, a happy birthday to one of our youngest race fans here on ESPN, Anthony Michael Sinnott, Noblesville, Indiana, celebrating birthday tonight, number 1. We'll be right back at Bristol. Stay with us. Bristol International Raceway still under caution. They have that tractor out there on the racetrack, and they're simply trying to clean some of the debris off the racetrack because we have seen many cut tires already tonight, so they're taking a little extra time to make sure that everything that could cause a cut tire is off the track.
Bob, the second car in line behind the pace car there is Dale Earnhardt, so he is technically back in the lead lap. The car number 6,
Mark Martin is the leader.
Yeah, okay, right. I'll get the right fellow there in a moment. He is the leader, so Dale Earnhardt, if he can stay out there, well, he can get back in contention in this race after making that unscheduled pit stop. And let's also say that Bill Elliott, who lost 2 laps when he changed 4 tires early in the race, he has made both of those up, so he's back in the lead lap. And Alan Kowicki made an unscheduled pit stop. He lost 2 laps. He has made 1 of those up, so Alan now is only 1 lap down.
Okay, Bill Elliott has made up the 2 laps and is now shown in 16th position on the lead lap. Jerry Punch with report on pit strategy.
Well, we were told from pit road that the crew chiefs are talking to the drivers and say, listen, gentlemen, you got about 500 laps to go. You want to be able to race, but you don't want to overextend the car. If you feel a vibration, if you feel the car getting a little bit more loose than it is, don't even risk it. Don't try to ride it out for a few laps. Come on down pit road, and we'll change the tires. Also important to remember, the drivers were told in the drivers' meeting that the safety car would come out in the backstretch over in turn 3. We've already seen someone take advantage of that earlier. Terry Labonte came in as soon as the yellow came out and pitted and changed 4 tires. I guess Tim Brewer said a lot of these guys weren't listening, but they were listening very closely. And so when the yellow comes out, you'll see a lot of cars diving on the pit road even before the caution cars on the Speedway, hoping that it will come out as it's supposed to and slow the field down.
Everybody's getting lined up, Jerry, for the restart. The signal has been given. 1 more lap, and we will be going back to a green flag. There are 3 abreast out there in corner number 2, and there's the in-car camera that is being driven by Dale Jarrett.
He's currently in 15th position after making a 4th tire change on this pit stop.
So it is Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, Harry Gant, Davey Allison, Darrell Waltrip. The number 27 car of Rusty Wallace is 6th. 7th is Brett Bodine. 8th is Rick Mast. 9th is Neil Bonnet. And in 10th position is Kyle Petty. The pace car is off the track. We are just about to go back to racing. 112 laps have been completed. This will be lap number 113. And the green flag is out. That's Dale Earnhardt to the inside of the racetrack. And he technically now is, as we said, back on the lead lap. And Bobby Hillin Jr. is in the number 8 car. And and is right alongside Dale, but now Jarrett and Alan Kulwicki both shoot around him.
Alan Kulwicki has 2 laps, I believe, also to make up, so that's one of them for Alan Kulwicki, and Dale Earnhardt back in the lap.
And Ricky Rudd got the jump on Mark Martin as the green flag came out, so Ricky Rudd is now the leader of this race.
And I believe, Gary, that Alan Kulwicki had made one of his laps up earlier, so that should put him back in the lead lap as well as Earnhardt.
So it's very easy to lose a lap here, but as we have seen already in the first fifth of this race, it's also relatively easy to get the lap back.
If he has a good fast car.
It is amazing the way that things happen here at Bristol. Things happen so fast, you know, the drivers, the crews, everybody has to be right on their toes to take advantage of a possible situation like that. It's unbelievable how fast things happen on this track.
There are 3 cars ahead of the leader, and that is the number 26 car of Ricky Rudd. There you can see his finishes in short track competition in 1988. The winner of the Watkins Glen Road Course event not too long ago that we televised live for you here on ESPN. So it's Ricky Rudd in the number 26 car and Mark Martin, number 6, first and second, although Bobby Hillin Jr., Alan Kulwicki, and Dale Earnhardt are ahead on the racetrack of Rudd.
Back there, the last time around, Dave Marcus got into the wall on coming off of turn 2 over there. Dale Jarrett had to get on the binders as they tried to lap. Rodney Combs down on the inside. They have really been doing some backing around.
So Dale Jarrett able to pass Rodney Combs, as is Dave Marcus in the blue car, the Lifebuoy sponsor machine right ahead of Dale Jarrett. Behind them, meanwhile, this group of cars, that's Ken Schrader in car number 25, Bill Elliott in number 9, and Rodney Combs in 97.
Really just seeing a drift all the way through the turns, and then they don't even get to rest when they get to the straightaway. It's so rough, and its straightaway just lasts for a couple seconds. They're back into the next turn. It's full concentration from start to finish nowadays.
Don't have much time to breathe on these straightaways.
You know, Bobby Hillin Jr. is losing it in corner number 4 and bangs the wall with the rear end of the car. So this is going to bring out another caution period, and number 5 is upon us. Dale Earnhardt now is going to be able to circle the entire racetrack and be right back in the thick of things.
So will Alan Kulwicki, because he was running right there with Dale Earnhardt. As a matter of fact, Kulwicki had passed Earnhardt. So those two are certainly back in the thick of it. They'll be at the tail end of the pack, but they are awfully fast tonight and will probably come up through the pack.
And we'll take a look once again at what happened as Bobby Hillin Jr. moved into turns number 3 and 4 on the high side of the racetrack in car 8.
Trying to get a lap back, trying to pass the leader, Ricky Rudd, and he just got in there too hard, got the outside tires perhaps in some of that loose stuff that's come off of the asphalt and pushed up on the high side of the track, and it spins him around.
And there it is here it is from another angle.
And it just looks like the right side of the tires did get on what they call the marbles, and backs into the wall, but everybody gets by him.
All right, let's go to the pit area. Larry Newber with a report on the Ricky Rudd stop.
Well, here is the leader coming into the pits. He's already here and made the stop. They've already changed the outside rubber. They're now going to work on the left side. The second can of fuel is going in. Ricky Rudd has 4 second-place finishes here at Bristol. But this type of racetrack is one of Ricky's specialties. He's blocking an exit to the pits by Dave Marcus. He backs up. He loses a couple of car positions on the track as Marcus finally moves out. But Ricky lost 2 or 3 car spots. I don't know if he lost any positions or not because Dave was in his way when he went to leave.
Well, Marcus is on the same lap as Rudd, but Rodney Combs isn't, so technically he lost only 1 position on the racetrack, but that really doesn't mean very much. 5th caution period of the evening is upon us because of a spin down in corner number 4 involving Bobby Hillin Jr. Stay with us. We'll be back with more of the Busch 500. We'll be going green next time around. We get a report from Larry.
Well, Bob, you're looking at a stack of Goodyears, but wait a minute. These are not outer tires. These are just inner liners. Goodyear is out of tires. They came to this race, we are told, with 300 extra tires. They have all been mounted, and by noon today, They were out of tires. You cannot come down here from one of the pits and say, hey, we've had problems. We need to mount some more tires for our particular team. Sorry, unless you bring something to them that you've already purchased or arranged for, it's just not available. You don't see those stacks of tires. Now, Hoosier Tire is on hand. Very few teams have indicated that they would be interested in making the conversion to Hoosiers during the running of this race. About 15 by our unofficial count have Hoosiers mounted in the pits and ready to go that way. But if anybody wants more tires as we go green, this race goes back under full speed, they're going to have to go to the Hoosier compound, not come to Goodyear.
Most of the top teams did have a lot of tires mounted up, but hopefully they'll have enough to go the rest of the way.
All right, the green flag is out. We are back to racing, and Mark Martin leads this race. Second position now is to Davey Allison. The number 44 car of Sterling Marlin passes everybody. He's getting a lap back.
Boy, he did that very easily. He just flew on it, but the yellow flag is out.
Apparently there was not a good start, so that effort that Sterling Marlin made will be for naught.
Boy, that got first, doesn't it? I wonder what the situation was.
That was almost like a sprint car race when they give you the green and then decide in the second turn that...
Okay, we understand that maybe Mark Martin jumped the start, and he's going to have to go to the back of the field.
What a tough break for Mark Martin. I've never seen that other than they usually black flag the person guilty after the flag comes out. Now they're just going to put him to the back under caution.
I don't think they black flagged Martin. They did Sterling Marlin, but I don't think they black flagged Mark Martin. In any case, let's go to Jerry Punch, who's in the Hoosier pit area.
Well, from famine to feast, Larry Newber showed they're out of Goodyear tires, but they're behind me. As you can see, there are some 615 brand new Hoosier tires available if the crews need to use the Hoosier tires. Now, many crews have opted not to go with Hoosier for various reasons, but one important thing to remember, the Goodyear tires only average 88 inches in circumference. This Hoosier tire is only 85. There's a 3-inch difference in circumference. That's an inch difference in height of the tire. You will turn more RPMs, and you could possibly hurt the motor if you have to change from Goodyear to Hoosier. But plenty of Hoosiers available here in the pits of Bristol.
And they could become very important as the race goes on. Well, Sterling Marlin's car is sitting right at the starting line. He's been penalized by 2 laps because he jumped the start. And our indication is that Mark Martin will also be penalized. He will be forced to go to the rear of the field. And there is the Mark Martin crew in conversation with the NASCAR officials. And Mark Martin has come in for the penalty, and let's go to Larry Newber.
Well, Steve Meal was the first one over the wall. They decided, hey, we might as well put some more fuel in this car as long as they're going to penalize us to the back of the field. We'll walk over here and see if there's any opportunity to talk to Steve. Steve, what did they say to you as to the reason why they penalized you guys?
Yeah, they claimed that Mark jumped the flag, but you weren't supposed to restart the race. They got to the end of the grandstands. He got a little itchy and went early, so we're going to go to the back. But we're going to be okay.
He was the leader at that time, right?
That's correct, but you're not supposed to restart the race till you get to the end of the grandstands. We jumped about 100 feet quick. They're right. We made a mistake, but we'll be all right.
Okay, Steve and Mark taking a little bit of the bullet here. I tell you, Ned, this is not uncommon. You know, about a month and a half ago, I was at Indianapolis Raceway Park for a Busch Grand National race, and they did the same thing to Kelly Morris. Very devastating to Kelly's efforts because he was a Busch Grand National North driver turning in a real strong performance against the Busch regulars, and they did the same thing to him. It cost him the race.
Well, it's nice to hear the guys admit that they made a mistake. Okay, we're ready to go to green. Now, Davey Allison is in the lead.
And Davey Allison is leading for the first time this season on a short track. It is a very slow start once again. Those cars really come off of corner number 4 going at a very slow speed, but then pick up as they cross the starting line. And now Davey Allison leads with Darrell Waltrip second.
Well, Bob, they've designated a point on the racetrack just as you come off of turn 4. That's where they're supposed to start at. They don't want them starting before they get there, and so that was the reason for Mark Martin having to go to the rear when he started too early.
You know, that was the first time I've ever seen them just throw out the yellow again. A lot of times we've seen them give the guy the black flag and give him a stop-and-go penalty, but this is the first time I've actually seen NASCAR put out the yellow and get it straightened out.
Davey Allison, Darrell Waltrip, Kyle Petty, Jeff Bodine, and the number 11 car, Terry Labonte, is also there, but Richard Petty is now shown in 5th position.
Richard's running a very good race. In 6th position is the car of Lake Speed. Dale Jarrett runs 7th, Dennis Rader is 8th, and Rick Mast is 9th, and Bill Elliott in the 10th position.
In-car camera, Dale Jarrett right behind Lake Speed down the backstretch. Now we look out the back of the car. Bobby Hillin Jr. is right behind Dale Jarrett, and Ken Schrader is right there working on the 8 car of Bobby Hillin Jr. Rick Mast of the 88 car is also back there, as is Bill Elliott. By the way, Terry Labonte, who was in the pits for a long time, is back out onto the racetrack. Dale Earnhardt is also trying to move up through the field, and a yellow flag is on the track once again. This one is a debris caution, 6th of the evening.
We have yellow fever here tonight in Bristol, Tennessee.
NASCAR wants to make sure everything is absolutely okay before they are turned loose for high-speed racing, so they're being very careful tonight. And there you can see the debris that is on the racetrack in the apron. And Jerry Punch, I believe you saw that debris.
Well, a couple of cars going into turn 1 just a minute ago came together, and some sheet metal came off the side of a couple of cars and came up and hit the side of the wall towards this Winston Cup Series there in turn 1. That sheet metal shattered apart. As we see Bill Elliott making his pit stop, that sheet metal came down across the racetrack and splattered everywhere. And the NASCAR official, who happened to be standing right here on the spot, radioed upstairs and said, "We got to have a yellow, fans. We got some debris on the racetrack." As Bill Elliott now continuing to work on pit road to getting the car fueled and getting some sheet metal pulled away. He may have been one of the cars involved in putting down some of the debris in turn 1.
He was one of those cars that was behind the in-car camera, and boy, they were doing a lot of banging around there, and you can see them. They're pulling the fenders off of the wheels of Bill Elliott's car. They want to be sure that they're not rubbing the tires. So he apparently did lose a little bit. You can see there is some gone from the right front.
Well, a lot of these cars are made with fiberglass nose pieces and fiberglass back bumpers on several of the models. Now, those pieces of fiberglass, NASCAR thinks, are what are causing a lot of the flat tires. That's why we saw that tractor with the blower on it, blowing that fiberglass, the sharp pieces of splintered fiberglass off the racetrack. So I think NASCAR is going to be extra careful about debris tonight.
This is our 6th caution of the evening. The record number of cautions at Bristol is 15. The all-time NASCAR record is 17 at Martinsville. We may be headed for a record here tonight. Bristol International Raceway, I'm Bob Jenkins, along with Ned Jarrett, Gary Nelson, Larry Newber, and Jerry Punch. And we are 139 laps into the 500-lap Busch 500. Now, here comes the restart once again, and they will have to reach the point right at the beginning of the grandstand, right there before they accelerate, and they waited until the very last moment. Davey Allison steps on the gas. He's the leader of this race. He's being pursued now by Kyle Petty, who is doing a magnificent job of driving tonight. Richard Petty, meanwhile, Kyle's father, is up to 5th position. 3rd is Darrell Waltrip. 4th as Jeff Bodine, and then comes Petty. They're the first 4 cars. Davey Allison looking for his 2nd consecutive win in Winston Cup competition, but his first on a short track ever. There is Petty, positioned right behind Terry Labonte, who again, we remind you, is several laps down because of a problem earlier in the race. But Richard Petty in car number 43 is right in the thick of things.
Petty's car looks like it's working very well. He's running good, smooth laps as Terry Labonte moves around the car number 12 of Mike Alexander. Now Richard Petty will try to go on the inside. And Mike won't get in any trouble because he's a couple of laps down. He says, okay, he's running in 5th place, let him go. Very courteous move.
So he moves to the inside and passes Mike Alexander in car number 12.
Mike Alexander's been in the pits for a broken fuel pump. Terry Labonte there in front of Richard has been in the pits with a broken spindle bolt. Now, Richard really doesn't have that much to go to get up to the front. It's just maybe 200 yards, and he's up to the next position.
Richard Petty
out again here on the front straightaway. Dave Marcus has a problem.
Crash involving Dave Marcus. He's bent that car badly. Here comes the field receiving the caution. Dave Marcus's car is bent in the front and it's bent in the back. He had some pretty heavy contact with something. Apparently it was a tire that again let go, and so we are slowed once again.
Dave was having one of his better runs of the year here tonight.
You guys
just running very well. He was up there in 2nd place for a while and has been in the top 10 most of the night after things sort of got strung out here.
Hope you guys don't have plane reservations to get back tonight, because this looks like it's going to take all night to get accomplished. The ambulance is arriving on the scene of the Dave Marcus crash. However, we do see him moving around in the cockpit, so he's apparently okay.
Yes, he is moving around in there. I'll tell you, Dave is one tough customer. He's been around this sport for a long time. Here's the leader in the pits, Davey Allison, coming in for a change of right side tires, get his windshield clean. Apparently will change left side tires as well.
And we'll take a look at what happened. Dave Marcus off of corner number 4.
Oh, yes, yeah. It looks like he might have blown a right rear tire as he went around, because it looked like the back end went around first. And then he hit the wall and down to the inside.
Really hit the wall on the driver's side, left front. He is lucky to be, he is conscious. You know, that is one of the worst places to hit the walls, driver's side.
This was his 39th start here at Bristol. His best finish was a 3rd on 2 different occasions. Dr. Jerry Punch has picked up the debris and examining it, the debris that brought out the caution period before this one. Jerry?
Well, you see what the crew picked up in turn 1 just a few minutes ago. Just to sort of pick your poison. This came off Sterling Marlin's car, so the Sterling Marlins made a contribution. This came off the front end from Brett Bodine's Crisco Ford down to the Bud Moore stable. And how about part of a grill from Bill Elliott's car? So every kind of car out here on the racetrack dropping some debris. They're beating and banging here at Bristol.
The Punch flea market, I assume, will be opened up after the race, and maybe you can make some money on those parts. Dave Marcus's car is on the hook. They'll be trying to get it off the racetrack as we are under our 7th caution period of the evening. We're on lap number 148, and we'll be back with more of the Busch 500 from Bristol. Moon shining over Bristol International Raceway as the Busch 500 is again reduced because of an accident, this one involving Dave Marcus on lap number 149 now. Junior Johnson is in the pit area overseeing the Terry Labonte car. Of course, it's had problems earlier. Junior has won here as a driver and a car owner. He is the subject of this week's Winston Cup. We'll take another break and be back for the restart of the Busch 500. Under green, lap number 151 of the Busch 500. Kyle Petty, the leader of this race. Darrell Waltrip second. Jeff Bodine is third. And in 4th position is the king, Richard Petty. It's been a good race for Richard here in the first 154 laps. He began the race in 20th position. At the end of lap number 75, he was 13th. And now, at the end of lap number 150, now 154, he is running in 4th position.
That's a pretty good climb up through the field. He's driven a very methodical race.
And really, you don't see a lot of tire marks on Richard's car like most of the other cars. He's really kept his nose clean, been driving very cautiously, but moving up steadily.
Larry Newber is down the pit area and with Dave Marcus, who was involved in a crash here on the main straightaway. Larry?
Well, Dave took quite a number of minutes getting out of the race car, and a lot of people were standing around waiting for Dave to exit. And as soon as he did, he was ascended on by a horde of reporters. Right now, live on the radio here at Bristol Raceway. He spent a number of minutes sitting in the race car. Dave, something that we have noticed is the number of times you've crashed and happen to have been on ESPN, you always ride the wreck back to the pit area. Why?
Well, there ain't no need of jumping out over there, and I just told the wrecker guys that bringing around, I told the ambulance guys to follow me over here, and I'd go with them if they wanted me to, but I say they didn't come. But I guess there's something laying on the track. I ran over it, cut the right rear tire, and blew it out. So, but we'll get the Lifebuoy Chevrolet fixed back up. We'll be at Darlington next week.
Okay, well, Dave relaxes here in the backstretch. Jerry Punch with a report over on the other side of the racetrack on the front stretch. Well, Rusty Wallace has just radioed in and told his Kodiak crew chief, Barry Dawson, his neck is really hurting and it's really getting out. And the man standing you see right now, that is Larry Pearson, who was standing by to get in the car for Rusty Wallace. Larry, who won here last night in the Busch National race, also won a year ago. So Larry is 2-0 running Busch National shows at night. He likes his racetrack, and so Rusty is just about running out of steam. He'll probably get out on the next yellow flag.
All right, so we'll watch for that as Rusty Wallace is still very much in contention, but apparently is very sore from that crash yesterday.
And while those reports were being given from the pits, Neil Bonnet in the Valvoline Pontiac got a black flag. He went into the pits. Apparently the rear end was leaking some grease on his car. He's back out on the racetrack now, but Neil Bonnet has made an unscheduled pit stop.
By the way, Rusty Wallace in car number 27 is ninth. And here is a battle for third position. Richard Petty has taken third from Jeff Bodine. lap 09. The number 43 STP Pontiac with Richard Petty has moved all the way up to third. He's behind Darrell Waltrip and the leader of the race, Kyle Petty.
And boy, the fans are really cheering him on. They all stood up when Richard made that pass. They can sense him moving on towards the front. And so many people have been pulling so long for him to get that 201st victory.
He has 3 wins here at the Bristol International Raceway. His last win was in 1975, the Valleydale Meets 500, which is the spring race. In all, this is his 54th race start here at this racetrack.
Boy, that car, Richard, really looks good. It's holding a nice steady line, doesn't appear to be sliding. The shock and spring combination really look good for the bumps. It's not being upset too much by hitting those big bumps where we could see some of the other cars almost become airborne.
One car that is backsliding through the field is Dale Earnhardt in car number 3. He was running right on the back bumper of Dale Jarrett, who was running in 6th place. Now Earnhardt is back way up through the field. In fact, Davey Allison, who made a pit stop, is moving around him right now. Apparently has a left side tire going down on that car, and he's about to come into the pits.
So Dale Earnhardt's problems continue. He is indeed ducking into the pit area, bringing the car off the 36-degree banking in corner number 4 and moving rapidly down the pit area to Jerry Punch and the Richard Childress team.
Well, they checked the tires, and apparently they're going to look at the left side and the right side tires. They will put left side tires on the Goodrich Chevrolet. Another tough break for Dale Earnhardt. Remember, he's already cut a right rear tire down, and now he has left side tire. He smokes the tires, leaving pit road, and heads back on the speedway.
A man in a hurry getting back out onto the racetrack, but unfortunately, he is just about to lose a lap.
Well, he has gone one lap down. He's almost 2 laps down. As he goes into turn 3, Kyle Petty is not too far behind him. Kyle Petty coming up on a couple of cars there. 3 cars in front of him. One of those is Neil Bonnet. We see a little bit of smoke from the Bonnet car, apparently still leaking a little bit of grease as Kyle Petty comes up, and you can see the smoke from the car number 75 as they move around Ernie Irvin, one of the rookies in this field. Kyle Petty will be anxious to get around Neil Bonnet because you don't like to run behind a car that's smoking.
Especially in a night race, the oil gets on the windshield and it makes a film. It just kind of spreads out across the windshield. Kyle Petty's picking up that oil right now as the leader right behind Neil Bonnet. So he'll have a problem seeing with that oil on the windshield.
Some good racing going on here. That's Harry Gant. And also involved there in this battle is Ricky Rudd and Bill Elliott and Davey Allison as they're nose to tail out on the racetrack.
And up in front of them, Richard Petty has just made another move. He went around Darrell Waltrip a moment ago. Good racing back in the pack between those 4 automobiles. But Richard Petty, you can see him right in front of Darrell Waltrip there. He made that pit stop a moment ago. And let's go to the pits. Larry Newman, who is with Dale Emmett.
Richard is having one of his better races. This is Ken Wilson on the Richard Petty crew. Dale Emmett is knocking down the cockpit. What do you hear from Richard in the cockpit?
He's saying nothing. He's just running hard. He's saying nothing. We're giving him his time. He's running a good race right now.
You guys have not hung one here for a long time. Does he feel he has a clean shot at victory tonight?
Yeah, he feels good. We was a little off on the chassis to start with, but everything, we made a couple adjustments. Everything's coming around good now.
Well, we had talked briefly to Dale just before we came down here for this report. And as they came to us, they were having a conversation, Dale and Richard, in the cockpit. And there's a lot of conversation going on. I've been watching Dale, and Richard and Dale are talking at least twice every lap.
And we see Larry Pearson, who is getting the helmet on and will be apparently in a relief role for Rusty Wallace momentarily. Rusty's neck is sore. He is not feeling up to par, and so he apparently is going to come in and give the car over to Larry Pearson.
Well, it would be too bad to have to do that during a green flag run here because they'd lose at least 2 laps making that kind of a pit stop. And of course, I'm sure that they would hope for a caution so they could make the driver change during the caution period.
Well, Rusty has fallen back to 14th position. He was 9th just a few laps ago. As you can see, Larry getting the helmet all situated and the radio plugged in, ready to step into that car when Rusty Wallace wants to. Jerry Punch, can you update us?
Well, what Rusty wanted to try to do was run as long as he possibly could, and the reason is he realizes Larry Pearson runs Busch National races, which are normally about 200 laps in a 3,000-pound car. Now, Larry would have to go, as they come in a few laps, at least 315 laps in a 3,500-pound car. So a difference of 500 pounds and 100 laps at Bristol could mean a lot of effort in Larry Pearson's part. So Rusty wanted to give Larry as little time as possible, but he wanted to try to hang on. But apparently Rusty's neck is given up. So as soon as they get a yellow flag, or maybe even before, they're going to come in and put Larry in the car.
Not only does Larry Pearson run Busch Grand National, he wins in Busch Grand National. He was a victor here last night in the Tri-City Pontiac 200.
Another car that's really on the move right now is Lake Speed. He has just moved around Darrell Waltrip and has taken over the third position. Waltrip seems to have slowed a little bit. Jeff Bodine is moving up on him right now as they come off to turn 2 and head down the backstretch. There's your leader, Kyle Petty. Of course, it's a Petty family. Richard Petty running in second place, but now Lake Speed is coming up on Richard Petty. His car is really flying.
We'll watch to see if Lake Speed will make a move on Richard Petty. Oh, both cars washed to the outside, and Lake Speed may have given Richard a little bit of a nudge there at the tail end of the race car, but everything is okay. Now we'll watch Lake go to the inside coming off the fourth corner. Side by side, they race down the straightaway. Lake is going to get him, I believe, going into turn number 1. Yes, indeed. Lake Speed moves to second.
Where did Lake Speed come from? I really saw him in the pack all along the early stages of the race. Now all of a sudden he's moved right up to second and passed him going away.
On the restart, he was in 6th position and just all of a sudden just started picking up on him and really flying up through the field while the others seem to be slowing down a little bit. Lake Speed is picking up speed.
There is 2, 3, 4, and 5 there racing down the backstretch. Second place now belongs to Lake Speed. There is Richard Petty in 43 third. 17 Darrell Waltrip is fourth, and Jeff Bodine in the 5 car runs in 5th. At the moment, however, it is Kyle Petty who is leading this race. Lake Speed is trying to close the gap between himself and the leader, Kyle Petty, but Kyle has more than a straightaway lead.
In fact, it is 6 1/10 seconds. So Kyle Petty is really getting around this racetrack in the Wood Brothers Citgo Ford.
Kyle Petty last time in corner number 1 got way up high on the racetrack, almost scraped the wall as he tried to go high and pass Bobby Hillin.
Boy, he did almost get into the wall. He got his left front corner, it looked like, into the right rear quarter panel of Bobby Hillin. That could be a tire problem for him. It's awfully easy to push that sheet metal back into the tire and cut it.
Boy, it sure looks like he has some kind of problem. You see the smoke there. He slowed down a little bit. He hasn't caught Bobby Hillin yet as quickly as he had caught him. Now he's just kind of riding behind him. I got to wonder if going up way up high like that might have caused some problem with his tires.
In all of the years that the Wood Brothers have been fielding a Winston Cup team, and all the years that they have driven at various racetracks, this is the only one on the schedule, with the exception of Phoenix. Of course, it isn't officially run on yet. They have never won a race here, the Wood Brothers. They're looking for win number 1 tonight with Kyle Petty. Back at Bristol International Raceway for the Busch 500 Winston Cup race. The leader is Kyle Petty in car number 21. And just a few seconds ago, he put a lap on the number 27 car of Rusty Wallace. And it's pretty obvious that Rusty is struggling, but certainly not this guy. Kyle Petty, car number 21. There you can see a 5th at North Wilkesboro in April.
Well, a moment ago, he had a 6.1 second lead over Lake Speed. That has been reduced to less than 4 seconds. But Gary Nelson, we were speculating here in the booth that maybe the Wood Brothers, when he made that high move around, trying to get around Bobby Hillin, that maybe they said, hey, cool him a little bit out there. Don't take any unnecessary chances. Maybe they slowed him down a little.
Well, you know, we were watching. He just caught Bobby Hillin in no time at all. Then he got forced up high against the wall. And I think the Wood Brothers probably saw that, and they radioed to Kyle, hey, take it easy, because then Kyle followed Bobby Hillin for a long time before he went around him. And he's still got a comfortable lead, and he's going easier now.
And the driver that he has the lead on is this guy, number 83, Lake Speed. You can see he also is putting a lap on Rusty Wallace in the 27 car. Lake Speed started in 24th. At the end of 75 laps, he was 6th. At the end of 150 laps, he was 5th. And at the 200 mark, he was in 2nd position, and that's where he remains. Rusty Wallace is very definitely struggling out there. You can see that it's almost an effort for him to control the car. There he is, being passed by Richard Petty. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, we have been asked by the crew to stand by. What they'll probably try to do is probably try to get Rusty some oxygen here. If we're getting an oxygen bottle ready to get to Rusty when he comes in. You know, Rusty was alerted before the race that he didn't want to stay in the car and risk himself or possibly even risk someone else on the racetrack. So we have summoned some of the safety crews here to come over and bring an oxygen bottle into the pits. And when Rusty gets out of the car, the crew has to take a quick look at him, and we'll put a little oxygen on him, and then maybe he'll feel a little better. We'll talk to him.
Boy, I tell you got to give this guy credit, though, for doing what he is doing. I wouldn't given you a cent for his health yesterday afternoon when he was sitting here on the main straightaway with that car all crumpled up, but he came back and is doing very well given those injuries that he suffered. There's an in-car action, Dale Jarrett's car, and there's Ricky Rudd in the number 26 Quaker State Buick right alongside, and look who else is also right there, Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, Dale Jarrett's car seems to be slipping a little bit in the turns. He was running in 6th place very comfortably, and all of a sudden Ken Schrader and Alan Kowicki caught him, and here comes Dale Earnhardt down on the inside. As you can see him make that move, boy, he is very determined down on the inside of Jarrett. It almost gets into him, but moves around, and here comes Ricky Rudd once again, but Rudd has to back off. That's car number 2 driving his way.
Now the 29 car of Dale Jarrett got way up high as Dale got to the inside of him. But everything is okay. There is Jarrett in the Hardy's car, and Ricky Rudd is right behind him, and so is Bill Elliott, and the number 11 car, Terry Labonte, is the number 2 car, Ernie Irvin, while we watch the action from the in-car camera, goes to the pit area on the backstretch.
Jarrett's car is getting very loose. He's going very high in the turns now. Before, he was able to stay down low.
Oh, he had a spin, and
Dale Jarrett.
Oh, and moves up the racetrack, and Mark Martin nails him good. Mark Martin hit Dale Jarrett, and then Martin's car slides up the banking and hits the wall a ton. There's a little bit of fire underneath the Mark Martin car as we see Dale
trying to get it cracked.
Trying to get out.
But I don't think he's going to be able to go anywhere because it's a lot of damage done to the front. And there's Mark Martin's car. A lot of damage done to that car as well because, as you say, he really nailed him as he went into that turn.
He not only hit Dale hard, but he hit the wall hard also in turn number 1. And so the medical crews arrive at the scene of Dale Jarrett, who apparently is okay, and now here comes the ambulance to the Mark Martin car, and we aren't as certain as to the health of Mark Martin as we are of Dale Jarrett. So this is the opportunity that Rusty Wallace has been waiting on, this caution period that will allow him to come to. There is Mark Martin climbing out of the car, and it's good to see that because Mark really took a couple of shots, and it's unfortunate because there are several of us that thought this indeed was Mark Martin's night. He'd been practicing so well, qualified second fastest. We thought he really had a shot at winning this, but that's what happens at Bristol. Something can happen in front of you and put you out of the race. So Mark Martin walks back to his pit area as Dale Earnhardt comes into his. Jeff Bodine is also making a pit stop right behind Dale Earnhardt. Several others are on pit road, including Ken Schrader, Rick Mast, Bill Elliott, Alan Kowicki, Davey Allison, and Harry Gant. We watch the Childress crew work on the number 3 car. Meanwhile, the Henry crew has Jeff Bodine away and back out onto the racetrack. We're watching for Rusty Wallace to come around and relinquish his seat to Larry Pearson. You can see now how Rusty is at the moment unstrapping himself and loosening the belt so that it will be as quick a driver change as possible. There is Larry moving in, and here's Jerry Punch.
Well, they pulled Rusty Wallace out of the car, and Larry Pearson will climb into Kodiak Pontiac, and Rusty will stay there with Larry to help him get hooked back up and help to get the radio hooked up. Rusty trying to get his radio unhooked and get the Larry Pearson radio hooked up, and they are showing some backfire from the car. We'll get Rusty here. Come over and sit down, Rusty. Let's get some oxygen on you. We'll get you cooled off a little bit. We're going to sit him down and put a little O2 on him. I'm going to be a little busy for a minute. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
All right, Dr. Jerry Punch serving now in a medical capacity, making sure that Rusty Allison is okay. And look at Davey Allison, who apparently was also involved in that melee between Martin and Dale Jarrett. In the back left of his race car is also damaged badly.
Well, I'd say the crew left the wheel loose, Bob. It looks like the tire, as it came off, it looks like the lug nuts were left loose, and he left the pits without them being tight.
All right, now we go back and replay this crash. Dale Jarrett, watch him in the Hardy's car on the outside of the track. He was bumped.
Yes, he was. Bill Elliott got into him as he came off at turn 4, and he knocked him into the wall and spun the car around.
He slides down to the inside of the track, then the car slides back up the banking, and there's the contact with Mark Martin.
Yeah, I think Dale Jarrett would have been okay had Mark not hit him, but Mark had made his commitment going into the turn, and Jarrett was just up there in the wrong place, and bam.
And we have the replay from the in-car, and this is how it looked from Dale Jarrett's vantage point.
There's Ricky Rudd on the inside of the car number 6, and now, well, Rudd gets on around him there. So we'll see as we come down the front straightaway. And here's Elliott there, hit him and caused him to lose control. You can see he's trying hard to regain control of the car, but the momentum is already there and carrying it into a spin.
And so the caution flag is out for the 8th time this evening, and now Dr. Punch has checked over Rusty Wallace, and Rusty is ready to talk with us. Jerry?
Well, Rusty's gotten out of the car and gotten some cold cloths and a couple whiffs of oxygen here. Rusty, how's the neck?
The neck's I couldn't hold it up no more. I pulled the neck strap down as hard as I could, pulled the seat belt down as hard as I could, and it just kept putting a god-awful strain on it. And I figured, why screw it up now when I got a good driver like Larry who can take over for me? And I just want to be fresh for Darlington. We got a good setup for Darlington, and I did all I could do. The car's faster than I can run it right now. It's just the G-forces just killing my neck after that 6-time flip yesterday.
A lot of courage from this young man, Rusty Wallace, who wants to win that Winston Cup title. He knows he's got some pretty demanding shows coming up. Darlington, Martinsville, Dover, and he wants to be fresh. Rusty Wallace out of the car here at Bristol.
Going into this race, he was 21 points ahead of Bill Elliott in the battle for the Winston Cup. Dale Earnhardt was third at 157 points behind Rusty Wallace. And here's the crash from the in-car. Let's listen to it. With Mark Martin, some very dramatic footage coming from that Hardee's Oldsmobile, but it was damaged in the collision with Mark Martin and the nudge by Bill Elliott. We're under our 8th caution of the evening at lap number 213. Back in a moment. 500 Winston Cup race from Bristol International Raceway is being brought to you by Coda. 215 laps into this race, and here are the top 10 now. The leader is Lake Speed. Richard Petty is running second. Third is Jeff Bodine. Kyle Petty is fourth, and Bill Elliott runs fifth. In the 6th position is Harry Gant. Ken Schrader is 7th. Alan Kowicki is 8th. Ricky Rudd is 9th, and Darrell Waltrip is running in 10th position. Here's Larry Newber.
Well, Bob, that accident was very unfortunate because both of these guys who have never won a Winston Cup race were genuine candidates to win this race. You started the incident, or your car, your version.
Yeah, well, coming off before there, I was on the outside. We were going around a slow car, and I guess Bill Elliott decided I should drive my car in the grandstand. He ran me into the wall coming down the front stretch, and I got out of the gas, and the car got away from me and got sideways. You know, I don't know what he's doing 200 laps into the race, trying to squeeze in and make it 3 wide on the front stretch. That just doesn't work. Very unfortunate. The Hardee's Oldsmobile was running great. We were just biding our time, waiting to, for the end of the race, because there's no sense in racing at 200 laps. I hate it for Mark, too, because he had a good shot at winning, and we feel like we did, too.
Well, speaking of Mark, Mark is right here. Mark, you were right behind Dale when that occurred. You share that version of what happened?
I really didn't see much, except that I saw Dale spinning off down toward the inside. I was a little bit further behind, so I couldn't see what caused it. But when I saw Dale spinning down, that was great. As far as us needing a caution, things were looking good there. And I was going to drive on by him. And when I went to go by him, out of the smoke, there was Davey Allison, and there was no room between the two. And, so it looked like that Dale was going to be okay and not get tore up. He was just going to spin, and it was going to be a fortunate deal for everybody involved, because everybody needed a caution at the time. But, I just feel sorry for Jack Roush and feel bad for them and Steve Mill and everybody and the Stroh-Light people. The car was running super. We had a shot at it.
Well, remember that Mark Martin, talking about a good shot, he started on the front row, and he was one of the fastest cars all week here at Bristol.
He is out of the race, not by any choosing of his own. Here's a guy who did relinquish the seat voluntarily. Rusty Wallace relinquishes it to Larry Pearson. We are under a caution, and certainly there was a caution yesterday afternoon just after Winston Cup practice began. There is Rusty rolling down the main straightaway. The car overturned 6 or 7 times after a contact with the wall in corner number 4. And Rusty survived that with only a sore neck. He was held in the hospital overnight, released this morning, came here, was the 2nd day fastest qualifier, but because he has a very sore neck and perhaps fatigued just a little, he has turned over the driving chores to Larry Pearson.
Okay, now he went a lap down. We saw Kyle Petty get a lap on Rusty Wallace as Rusty was fighting to stay out there until a caution came out.
There are 10 cars that are on the lead lap as the track crews are still working to clean up the debris and the moisture down in turns number 1 and 2. We'll be right back. Bristol for the Busch 500. Later tonight at 11 o'clock, Chris Berman and Bill Patrick will report all the day's sports activity on SportsCenter. That's coming up right after our telecast of this Winston Cup race. And then later tonight at 11:30 live from Las Vegas, Nevada, the U.S. Olympic team versus the NBA All-Stars. Let's go to the pit area and check in with Larry Nuber, who is with Rick Mast, the guy that took over the number 88 car for the weekend. Larry?
Well, he took over from Buddy Baker. We're accustomed to seeing Rick in a double-digit car, number 22. You were having a good ride. You know, I was watching carefully. You were very conservative, but you stayed in the top 10.
Well, the car was heating up a little bit. We docked the grill in, and we opened that up and helped it. When we got down that lap, you know, and I was trying to run conservative and not hurt the car and bring the car home. We were pretty quick, you know. The Red Baron Pizza guys had this car dialed in for me, I'm telling you. Anyhow, we had this wreck up here in 1 and 2. The leader come flying through there and lapped 2 or 3 of us. So I tried to get my lap back going down the back stretch. We were all still wide open. I go high into 3 to go by the leader, and he just cuts over into me and knocks me into the wall, and that was it. I guess I just got to learn some of these guys and how they race, that's all. Get well, buddy.
The leader being number 21 at the time.
I believe. I don't remember.
He'll be back for other races, Joey Knuckles tells us.
Might update you on Buddy Baker's situation. He is recovering nicely from the brain surgery that he had a week or so ago to remove a blood clot from the brain. Now, there's that tractor back out on the track, and they are blowing the oil dry down the track. We've seen this machine at the Indianapolis Speedrome and some of the other smaller tracks, but I don't think I've ever seen it in action here at Bristol.
Well, that's the first time I remember seeing it, but he's having a tough time staying up on that bank, it looks like. That fellow back there with that caution flag is a brave soul, being on that thing on that 36-degree bank.
Sure is. Anyway, they're trying to get the track cleaned off. That's the sum and substance of it. A lot of debris out there because of bumping and banging that's been going on since the drop of the green flag, and so we're going to be a few more minutes under the caution here.
Boy, you know, that NASCAR is really being careful tonight. I got to hand it to them. They want to make sure and get any little slivers of fiberglass, any pieces of metal, everything off the racetrack before they start racing again. You know, we were talking with Larry Nuber earlier about the tire situation with Goodyear being out of tires. I think this race has been using an awful lot of tires, but nobody's gone to the Hoosier tires. I think the Goodyear tires are fast enough, and people feel like they can put on their used tires later in the race and still be okay. So we'll have to watch and see what happens later.
This has just been an unbelievable race in the first 222 laps. But you know, stopping is just as important as going fast here at any place. There's a new material being used in the Winston Cup brake pads. Here's an ESPN track back.
You're on the ground floor of a lot of development on brake pads, and I'm familiar with these pads that Jeff Bodine's using. You know, the people are very secretive about what they put in there. I call it bat wings. I'm not sure exactly what it is that they compound those brake pads out of, but whatever this material is here, it is very good.
Just a beautiful night in eastern Tennessee, and the 50,000 fans are enjoying the Busch 500. We hope you are. Rejoin us in a moment.
And your situation of the tires is the same. We're hearing at the other end there's a shortage of them.
Yeah, we're just about out of Goodyears. We're scrounging right now from some of the cars that's having trouble. If they have any extras at all, we're trying to get them from.
You are not one of the teams that's in a position to go to Hoosier tires. You did not practice with Hoosiers. It's got to be Goodyear or nothing, doesn't it?
I'm sorry, run that one by again.
The field has just rumbled past us, and as Bob has mentioned many times, it's very noisy down here. I said you are not one of the teams that's in a position to go to Hoosier tires. You did not practice with them, did you?
We didn't practice with them. I got 3 sets of them sitting here ready to go in case we don't have any choice.
It may get to that. They may not have any choice. Goodyear, as Jerry has mentioned, as we talked about earlier, is flat out.
Okay, so the tire story continues to be a big one in this race. We are not quite halfway through this event. We're on lap number 228 of 500, and we thought we were going green a couple of laps ago, but instead the pace car stayed out, and now the signal is being given to the field. One more before we go green. We've had 16 lead changes among 12 drivers, and of the points leaders, only number 3 Dale Earnhardt has led a lap tonight, so he's the only one that has picked up bonus points for leading this event.
Of course, he's the farthest behind in the points, so he needed those 5 bonus points.
Well, I'm really pulling to see for Larry Pearson to see how well he runs in this Rusty Wallace car. He has done so well in the Grand Nationals division. It's really good for him to get into a Winston Cup race here at Bristol.
This is one of his favorite racetracks, too. Of course, he's won here twice in the Busch Grand National Series, and Richard Petty sitting there in second place, just lurching on Lake Speed, who leads.
And here they come. The green comes out once again, and we're back to racing. Lake Speed, Richard Petty, Jeff Bodine, and Kyle Petty. Richard Petty side by side with Brett Bodine going into turn number 3. Richard passes him. Now Jeff and Brett are side by side. The Bodine brothers as they come down the straightaway. And Richard Petty, it appears to me, is looking for the lead. He is right behind Lake Speed and knocking on the door.
This round will go wild as he does take the lead. The car's still working well down on the low side of the racetrack. Of course, Speed has been very fast here tonight, too.
It's just unbelievable, the crowd response that Richard Petty gathers everywhere. When he's introduced to the crowd, you never hear a single boo. While there may be some mixed emotions from many of the drivers, everybody cheers for Richard Petty.
Now, right in that pack is Dale Earnhardt, who apparently is a lap down from an unscheduled pit stop, so he's going to try to get back up there and pass everybody and get back in the lead lap. He moves around Kyle Petty, shoves him a little bit high, now moves up on Jeff Bodine.
Yeah, indeed, Dale Earnhardt is a lap down, as is the number 15 car of Brett Bodine that we saw a few minutes ago, and the Rusty Wallace car now being driven by Larry Pearson. A couple of laps down, Davey Allison and Bobby Hillin Jr. 3 laps down as Richard Petty got a little bit loose, and here comes Jeff Bodine.
And boy, you can lose a lot of time just by backing off a little bit there. Going in.
Richard way out of shape, coming off the 4th corner. I thought he had lost it for sure, but he got it in.
He might have a tire going down or something.
I don't think he saw Dale Earnhardt on the outside coming off the turn. They bumped Earnhardt, and Earnhardt had to back off and then bumped Jeff Bodine.
Okay, here's Earnhardt now moving up on the outside. Of course, he still has Lake Speed. Earnhardt has passed everybody else now to get back in the lead lap, but Lake Speed has moved out to a better than a second lead. While all that's going on, Richard Petty does have a problem. Apparently, he has a tire going down.
Richard Petty is slowing, dropping to the inside of the racetrack as Bill Elliott and Harry Gant pass him on the outside. Will replay Richard Petty getting out of shape a couple of laps ago.
So he hits off at turn 2. Here's Earnhardt coming. That's turn 4, rather. Earnhardt coming up on the outside of Jeff Bodine. Tries to get on the outside of Richard Petty, and Petty's car and Earnhardt's make contact as he comes off of there, but they do get him straightened out.
So that little nudge there may have done some major damage to the Richard Petty car. He is dropping back steadily now as number 55, Bill Parsons, tries to pass him, unable to. But Richard has dropped back 6-7 positions since that little incident.
Well, Bobby now has picked up speed again. Apparently, he thought maybe he had a tire going down. And I'll tell you, you run around there with pins and needles for a while on this racetrack, and you think for a moment that the tire is going down, but he's had the feel of it a little bit, so he's checked it out, and maybe everything is okay.
Short track finishes. There you can see good performances in the short track program for Richard Petty so far this year. Here comes Alan Kulwicki now sneaking up beside or behind Richard Petty. Alan was our pole sitter for this evening and is back on the lead lap, and at the moment shown in 8th position.
Some sparks coming out from under Richard's car. I didn't notice that earlier when he was leading. He may be hitting, bottoming out a little more like a soft tire would cause the car to be just a little bit lower.
It's definitely not handling like it was earlier in the race. He's still running at a pretty good pace now that he's picked it back up. But you can see the car wash out as it went into the turn. Here comes Alan Kulwicki down to the inside. There's Ricky Rudd. Davey Allison right behind them.
And Darrell Waltrip is also right behind the number 17 car, Darrell Waltrip. Richard is losing positions once again as Dale Earnhardt is trying to get that lap back. He has pulled right up on the back bumper now of Lake Speed. This may be the opportunity he's been looking for to get that lap back. They race down the backstretch. He is side by side with Lake Speed into turn number 3. How are they going to come out? Oh, they touch once again, and Dale Earnhardt does indeed get his lap back. And here is a real scramble for position behind Elliott, Bodine, Harry Gant, and Kyle Petty.
Well, Bill Elliott.
Oh, and Ken Schrader is spinning and hitting the wall in turn number 2. Ken Schrader's car slides down the banking, and miraculously everybody gets on the binders and avoids hitting him. But Ken Schrader has brought out the 9th caution flag of the evening.
And this is the break that Richard Petty needs. was about to have to come into the pits, so Richard Petty will now get to do it under caution, and you can rest assured that he'll dive in the pits on the backstretch where he's pitting. Well, he didn't that time. That was a little surprising that he did not come into the pits, but he wasn't sure, I guess, that the caution car was out. But he certainly, the crew was ready for him to come into the pits.
And the track crew will go onto the racetrack now to see if Ken Schrader put down any debris out in turn number 2 where he spun and had slight contact with the wall. And the Richard Petty crew is waiting on Richard to arrive.
Dale Earnhardt also got his lap back just the lap before the caution came out. Now he is back in the lead lap in the 11th position.
Now, this is the second time tonight that Earnhardt has had to do that, or third time that he's had to do that.
Yep.
After making unscheduled pit stops. Gets lap down, but he has a car fast enough, and he drives it hard enough to get back into the lead lap. So he's coming into the pits now to put on 4 tires. Those tires are, their supply is running down in a hurry.
As we heard Kurt Shelmerdine say, their supply is running very short, but they're changing all 4s on Dale Earnhardt.
Those are brand new tires, too. You see the stickers on them.
And Richard Petty, meanwhile, is coming in, and here is Larry Newber.
Bob, it's been like a freeze frame down here for the last caution flag lap. Everybody was poised and ready for the king to come in, and when he did not come in, somewhat surprisingly the last time, they just froze in time. They go to the right side first. They're probably going to change all 4 corners because Richard wasn't absolutely certain if he had a tire going down or what. As I came here, I looked at Dale Inman and I asked him, hey, what's wrong? What's happening? He knew exactly what and why I was asking the reason for. He shrugged his shoulders. He said, we don't know why. I could read his lips because of all the noise. Richard stalls the car as he leaves the pit area. The crew now, the 5 that are allowed over the wall, push the car, assist him, and he fires off.
Richard Petty pulls back out onto the racetrack. Here is the tail end of Ken Schrader's spin and contact with the wall up in turn number 2. We also understand that he lost a clutch in the accident, before the accident perhaps, and look how close it was for Alan Kulwicki and
Richard Petty.
Oh, boy.
He made a good move down on the inside there. Sterling Marling comes by. You can see the car up on the wall, and it comes down. Here comes Richard Petty, and just stops enough going backwards there that Petty got by on the inside, and now it looks like the car number 25 is stopped on the racetrack, and the caution will continue.
Just at the exit of the pit area down in turn number 1, the Ken Schrader machine is now being restarted with the help of a tow truck. We'll be back in a moment. The green flag comes out. There it is. Doyle Ford, by the way, is serving as NASCAR's official starter for this race again as Harold Kinder continues to recuperate from some finger surgery. He is here this weekend, and we hope he's back in the starter stand very soon, but Doyle Ford has done a great job in his substitute. Here's the field coming off of corner number 4. It's Lake Speed leading. Second place is Bill Elliott. Then the number 28 car, no, 28's a lap down. Lead Jeff Bodine is 3rd, although he's 5th on the racetrack.
Running in 4th place is Harry Kent, and 5th is Kyle Petty. Running 6th is Ricky Rudd. Darrell Walters is 7th. Alan Kulwicki is just being passed by Dale Earnhardt for 8th. That would put Kulwicki in 9th place, and Richard Petty would be in 10th.
Doyle Ford is displaying crossed flags, indicating that we have reached the halfway point of this 500-lap affair here at Bristol. And now, Bill Elliott is knocking on Lake Speed stores. They may have had some contact there in corner number 4. They go into turn number 1. Elliott looks to the inside. Lake goes high, and Elliott just blows by him and takes the lead.
Well, that was the break he needed. Speed just went a little too high going into that turn, and Elliott took advantage of it and moved away. Elliott's car's running fast now.
And the Elliott fans are on their feet, and he has a lot of them here.
Had trouble on the front straightaway as Brett Bodine and Davey Allison get together as it came off the turn 4.
Great driving by Dale Earnhardt to miss that right in front of him.
So 2 more cars spin to the apron of the track and to the infield as the 10th caution flag of the evening comes out. I believe that both cars, at least Davey Allison is going to be able to drive away, but the Brett Bodine car is stalled in the infield on the grass. Also involved in that to a slight degree was the 97 car driven by Rodney Combs. He just made very slight contact with the Davey Allison car as it was coming to a stop. So Brett Bodine's car is indeed stalled in the infield as the safety crew goes to his aid. You can see him, though, moving around. Everything appears to be okay. And the leader, Bill Elliott, comes in for a pit stop, and so does Jeff Bodine and Darrell Waltrip and several others. Jerry Punch is in Jeff Bodine's pit.
Well, Jeff Bodine, who did not come in on the last caution flag, realized that probably another one in a few laps was exactly correct. They will change 4 tires on Jeff Bodine's car. They are changing 4 tires on most of the cars in the pit. The right side tires are on Bodine's car. Likewise, 4 tires on Bill Elliott's machine, who now pulls away. The left side of the car going up for Jeff Bodine. As Bill Elliott moves down pit road, they will put fresh rubber all the way around. Again, they're using up these Goodyear tires. And remember, there's a limited quantity. As Bodine now pulls away.
Bodine pulls away, so does Bill Elliott, and Darrell Waltrip is coming out of the pit area also. Let's take a look at what happened here on the main straightaway. Davey Allison and Brett Bodine.
Okay, as they come off of turn 4, Davey Allison down on the inside of Brett Bodine, but the front end breaks loose. He gets up into Brett, and they tangle once again as they come down the straightaway. Both of them out of control at that point. Brett spins back in front of Davey Allison, sending Brett almost back out on the racetrack. Then he spins down to the inside, out of the way of the traffic. Here's Rodney Combs coming in there, just barely nudging Davey Allison, and that sort of gives Davey a little bit of a push and gets him rolling again.
Here's another angle of it. I thought for a while that Brett Bodine was going to be able to save it, but he lost it right at the last moment. Here they are at the 4th turn again.
Yeah, they got together pretty good, and then they got back together again. I think that's what sent Brett into the spin, was the second time that they bumped. And around he goes, and here comes the car number 97 of Rodney Combs, and just barely touches Davey Allison. As we see Mike Alexander go on the inside, there's car number 27 being driven by Larry Pearson on the outside, and Neil Bunny coming by too.
And there is the work being done on the Davey Allison car. They're trying to pull away the debris and the coach work from the front tire. So as we now are in caution once again on lap number 255, we are ready for our Napa mid-race recap. This happened before the caution, the mid-race point reached. The leader was Lake Speed. He started in 24th position, has led 39 of the 250 laps. The average speed, look at that, 67.458 miles an hour because of our numerous caution periods. How many? 8. 68 laps, 12 leaders, 16 lead changes, 32 started, 25 remain, believe it or not, and there are 10 cars on the lead lap. Those that have dropped out of competition include Brad Knopfsinger on lap number 1. Dave Marcus was involved in a crash. Michael Waltrip is out of competition. Mike Alexander in car number 12 was out of the race for a while. He's back in. Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin eliminated in a crash, and Rick Mast also had contact with the wall in turn number 3. The lights on top of the pace car are out, and we should be getting a start once again next time around. Lake Speed at the point once again with Gant second. The 3rd place car is Kyle Petty, 4th is Ricky Rudd, and 5th is Dale Earnhardt as the pace car pulls away. That's the story there at the top 5, and lap number 256 from the scoreboard located outside of corner number 4. Lake Speed accelerates as he reaches the end of the grandstand, and here we go again. Lake Speed with a good jump, but here comes Harry Gant pursuing him, and Kyle Petty is also doing so. Look at Harry Gant.
Lake chose not to pit, so did Harry Gant. I guess they were low in tires and said our car's working okay, so we'll stay with it. But look, battle for the lead.
Well, Harry Gant was real strong early in the race when he had the Goodyears on. Then he kind of faded back with Hoosiers, like Travis Carter told us, for 2 pit stops. Now I'm sure they're back on the Goodyears as Harry Gant looks awful strong again.
Yes, he does. The car is working very well once he's got the Goodyear tires back on. But Petty coming in and makes that tangle.
Harry Gant spins to the inside. I don't think there was any major damage done to any car, but there's a lot of smoke coming from the tires of Harry Gant as he's trying to get that car headed in the right direction once again.
Well, if he can get it to going, he's still going to stay in the lead lap, and he does. The leaders came around and got the caution and immediately slowed down, so Harry Gant will stay in the lead lap. But as they battle there, Kyle Petty dimming down on the inside. Let's look at it again. As Harry Gant was trying to move around Lake Speed, they went into turn 1. Gant went a little bit high. Here comes Kyle Petty down the inside. Ricky Rudd trying to get on the inside of Kyle. That's too many cars in that turn. Kyle and car number 33 of Harry Gant tangle. Kyle goes on by, so does Ricky Rudd on the outside. Everybody else really breaks it down, and they couldn't see where they were going. Let's go to the pit area with Larry Newber.
Well, I'm standing by with Brett Bodine. Our spotters tell me that you were a victim of circumstances.
Well, you know, Davey was in a pretty big hurry, I think. You know, I had as much right to be there as he did. We both were a lap down and racing for position, and, you know, he just gouged me in the left rear and turned me around. I thought we were going to be all right. We spun, and then Davey hit me again. We both were out of control at that point, but know, it was a shame. The car wasn't running half bad, and I think we could have got us a decent finish out of it. But, you know, you just hate it because guys get in too big a hurry. And you got to be a little patient on this racetrack. It'll boat you.
The most recent spinner, Harry Gant, has gone to the pit area. Jerry Punch is standing by on that side. Jerry?
Well, what luck Harry Gant has at this racetrack. You remember back in the spring, he was leading. He led 125 laps only to be spun by a slower car. He came together with Dave Marcus, and Gant was going for the lead again. Now he comes back down pit road, changes 4 tires, and comes back out. So Gant will go try it once again. And again, he puts 4 fresh Goodyear tires on.
So we'll see if Harry Gant can move up through the field, but he'll have to restart at the tail. We're at Bristol International Raceway for the Busch 500, and we'll be right back. Well, we've had another caution period since you were away. We ran 1 lap under green and had another spinner. And so caution period number 12 is upon us. The spin involved Larry Pearson. Here it is.
He's driving the car number 27. Larry was down on the inside. It looked like he might have got bumped, maybe by Sterling Marlin there in the rear as the car jammed up as it came off at turn 4. Here's Darrell Waltrip up on the high side as Larry Pearson makes a 360, and Waltrip slowing down and just barely touches him maybe. So he had his car slowed down and under control, and Larry Pearson, a very lucky soul there not to have got really clobbered as he came off of that turn. And you can see a lot of cars getting bunched up as they come in there, and I think Sterling Marlin might have come in there and hit him just a little bit, just enough to spin him around.
Also getting through was the number 31 car, which was started by Butch Miller, is now being driven by Mark Martin in a relief role.
I think it was one of those chain reaction deals where it looked like Bobby Hillen in the number 8 car slowed dramatically for some reason. Everybody bunched up behind him, and Larry Pearson with nowhere to go. I think he was more a victim on that one.
The one thing that happened on that caution, Davey Allison got back in the lead lap. He passed Lake Speed as they came back down the start-finish line. We're going green again.
We're going to try it. We are only 3 caution periods away from the record here at Bristol, and we are just past the halfway point. And I think we're going to make it. The question is, can we break the all-time NASCAR Winston Cup caution period record, which is 17, held at Martinsville. Great battle for second going on here as Lake Speed leads. Kyle Petty and Ricky Rudd are trading paint. Here is Dale Earnhardt also. What a 4-car battle for the lead we've got.
Boy, they're battling as if it were the last 10 laps, and they've still got over 200 laps to go.
It's a very narrow racing groove out there, I'll tell you. These guys are just unbelievable running in this race. Look at the side-by-side action with Rudd and Dale Earnhardt.
But Rudd would have no part of Earnhardt passing him on the outside, not right then anyway. Now Earnhardt will drive down on the inside. Oops, get together there a little bit, but Earnhardt backs off. Let's Rudd straighten out.
Well, this is Saturday night short track racing, isn't it?
Ricky Rudd is in 3rd position. Done a fine job moving up from his starting position. And that starting position was 19th at the end of 150 laps. He was 13th, moved up to 9th at the end of 225 laps, and now, with 268 completed, is in 3rd position. That's the Kenny Bernstein-owned team. Ricky Rudd, the Quaker State Buick.
Well, you know, Ricky Rudd really did a great job of driving when Harry Gant spun right in front of him. It looked like Ricky Rudd was going to T-bone him. I don't know how he missed him. I don't even think he touched him.
Rudd now trying to make a move on Kyle Petty, but couldn't quite do it that time as he came off of turn 2. But as he goes into turn 3, he's going to dip down on the inside again. But here comes Earnhardt up on the outside again.
On the high side of the racetrack, but does not attempt to move. He falls in behind Ricky Rudd, hangs in there in 4th position.
Now Rudd gets a good run off of turn 2. Kyle Petty gets loose, and both Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd go by.
So Kyle Petty loses 2 position. He falls from 2nd to 4th as Ricky Rudd now will set out to pursue the leader, Lake Speed. Dale Earnhardt still hanging on and beating on once in a while. Ricky Rudd 4 seconds spot.
That Earnhardt is really dogging Ricky Rudd. He's come a long way up like Phil Elliott also, making up lost ground, getting back up to the front again. I think Dale Earnhardt has probably passed more cars tonight than anybody else on the racetrack.
I think you're right. He's about to pass another one down on the inside of Ricky Rudd going into turn 3. But Rudd hanging on tight up there on the outside. But here comes Earnhardt.
Let's see who wins this battle for second into turn number 1. Earnhardt with just a fender ahead. Now he pulls pulls ahead cleanly, and Dale Earnhardt goes to second. We've also got some great action back a little bit further between Richard Petty and Jeff Bodine, and the number 33 car of Harry Gant is also battling for position.
Well, Gant had, of course, come into the pits and put on 4 tires after he spun out, but he's coming back up there and getting in the thick of the battle again.
We believe this to be for 7th, 8th, and 9th, and the number 20 car of Dave Mater III is pulling to the apron of the racetrack and headed for the pits on the back stretch. He's got a lot of smoke coming from that car, but there will be no yellow. We may have a change of leader here, though, in just a moment, as Dale Earnhardt is challenging Lake Speed for the lead. Here they come out of the 4th corner. They cross the stripe, and Lake has about a half a car length advantage on Dale Earnhardt. Let's see if Earnhardt has the faster line into turn number 1 and 2. They're side by side still down the backstretch, and Earnhardt just cannot seem to get around as Lake Speed hangs on.
This is almost a replay of what we saw just a few laps ago when Dale Earnhardt was just trying to get his lap back, and now he's going for the lead. Things sure do turn quick at this racetrack.
I believe he's got it now.
And look at car number 7. Alan Kowicki has passed Ricky Rudd, and now he's getting up into the thick of the battle. Alan Kowicki set on the pole, and look at Kowicki move on the inside now, car number 83.
Alan Kowicki, the pole sitter, many had given up on him because of his early problems, but no, indeed, he is right there challenging Dale Earnhardt for the lead. He is in 2nd position. Lake Speed drops back to 3rd. Ricky Rudd runs in 4th.
You know, when I grew up in stock car racing in the early years that I was involved, all the races we ran were night races, Saturday night, Friday night races, and every time there was a full moon, it seemed like we had the most strange and bizarre type of races. It looks that way here tonight, just like the old days.
Now a battle for 3rd position. That's Lake Speed and Ricky Rudd. Speed in number 83 and Ricky Rudd in the 26 Quaker State green car off the 2nd turn.
It's been a while since Lake Speed has been in the pits, and you wonder about the tires. And let's go over and check with Larry Newber in Lake Speed's pits and see what the problem is.
Well, then I'm standing by with crew chief Darrell Bryant. Darrell, Lake just dropped out of the lead. Any problems, or he just gets caught in the wrong track position?
Well, right now this set of tires we have on is not working quite as well as the other set, but I think we'll be hanging on there right with it.
Can you maintain this speed or Earnhardt's speed for the rest of the race?
I think so. We'll get this set of tires off, get another set on. I think we'll come right back again.
Okay, Bob and Ned and Gary, I don't know if you heard that or not, but Lake's complaining about this particular set of tires. He's unhappy about this. He says there's still more in the car. It's the tires that are slowing him down right now.
All right, thank you, Larry. It was difficult to understand him, but we now know what he said, and Dale Earnhardt is pulling away. Now, look at this action. Kyle Petty, Harry Gant, and Davey Allison, who again, remember, is on the lead lap. That's Jeff Bodine in the yellow and white car number 5 leading this group.
Kyle's car is certainly not working like it was earlier. He's going very high in the turn. You can see him go high there. And now Darrell Walker moves up on him. A number of cars have passed him. Rick Wilson slowing down to the inside of the racetrack. You can see the cars moving around. And Darrell Walker moves on the inside of Kyle Petty, takes away the position.
Boy, things are changing fast. You know, Kyle Petty had a 6-second lead at one point earlier in the race. Harry Gant had a big lead. Bill Elliott, Lake Speed, all of them have taken turns and looking to be the strongest car and then fading back. Even Richard Petty, he's back there a little ways, but he did look the strongest a little earlier.
And son Kyle backs off there as Richard goes to the inside and passes. So the Petty family, Richard and Kyle, have both had very good races as the lead now is held by Dale Earnhardt.
Boy, he looks so smooth out front. That number 3, yeah.
Here's Bill Elliott and Lake Speed as Bill Elliott now moves up to challenge Lake, who is experiencing a problem with that car. No doubt about it. He doesn't like the tires that he's got on it.
Well, as we mentioned, it's been a while since he's been in the pits to change those tires. Had a lot of contact. It's just been a long period of time. Maybe not that many laps, but just a long time.
We watch Elliott and Lake Speed. Elliott on the inside. Still can't do it. Lake's doing a fine job of driving that car if he isn't happy with the tires. There's a leader. And second place, Alan Kowicki. Now, Alan led 1 lap, and then that tire problem came in, lost 2 laps. He's made it up, though, and is in second position. Let's go to Jerry Punt.
Well, we're with Carl and Richard Childers. And Richard, you've got to be pretty pleased. You've lost a lap, made it up. up, lost a lap, made it up. Pretty impressive performance by your driver and the Goodrich crew.
Yeah, you know, it's a lot of good cars still running, you know. We're just trying to hang in there right now. It's a couple of cars running as good as we are right now.
Are you concerned about the lack of Goodyear tires? You're running out of tires.
No, we've got enough of tires now. We got some from other teams that had trouble, so we're in good shape with the tires.
Well, Richard Childress may have won the bidding war for buying tires from other teams that have had problems, and that may just win the race for him here at Bristol.
All right, so Dale Earnhardt does lead this race. There is Bill Elliott, the number 83 car of Lake Speed, and the 44 of Sterling Marlin. Marlin is not on the lead lap, but Jeff Bodine in the yellow and white car is.
Marlin lost several laps earlier in the race with some sort of a mechanical problem, but since then has come back and run strong.
Bill Elliott is fourth, and Lake Speed in car number 83 is in fifth. There is the leader, Dale Earnhardt, as he is approaching the number 4 car, and there he passes the number 4 car driven by Rick Wilson. We hope you're enjoying this Busch 500 from Bristol. We'll be back after this.
Kyle, those are his words, too much in the radio because it takes so much concentration out there. I said, Leonard, why is your driver slowing down? Why is he dropping back? He said, Larry, we don't know. And I've asked him that twice in the last half hour, and they are as much in the dark as we are.
Well, he indeed has slowed down. He was 9th, now drops all the way back to 11th, and has indeed lost a lap. So there are 10 cars that are now on the lead lap. You can see the damage in the paint that's missing on the side of Kyle Petty's car, the right side of the car. It's been a tough battle for just about everyone out there.
Well, it has. I would say that Kyle is getting tired. Of course, he has that leg injury from Watkins Glen, and certainly that could help take away a little bit, but that would be my guess as to why he slowed down some.
You know, we've been talking a lot in the coverage of our kart races. A lot of drivers in that series have been complaining that some of the drivers don't watch their rear view mirrors. Well, the number 97 car of Rodney Combs has been black flagged by NASCAR for not watching his rear view mirrors.
Well, he came in and made I guess it was a stop-and-go penalty. He came in the pits and is back out since then.
There's the interval between first and second as Alan Kowicki pursues Dale Earnhardt.
Well, you can see that car of Alan Kowicki just drift into the turn. It's just on like a four-wheel drift going into the turn, but he got it under control. That's really the fast way around this track.
Davey Allison back behind has moved up after getting back in the lead lap. He has passed Harry Gant and is now coming up on Jeff Bodine. Bodine running into 6th position. Bill Elliott has moved around Lake Speed and has taken over 4th, dropping Lake Speed back to 5th. Now Davey Allison is coming up on Jeff Bodine, so he is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack at the moment.
This is only Davey Allison's second start here at Bristol. He was 29th in the Valley Vale 500 held earlier this year here at this racetrack. He is in 7th position. And right ahead of him is the number 5 car driven by Jeff Bodine.
He is running in 6th position.
You can see a lot of body work has been damaged, and on the Bodine car and on the Davey Allison car. I guess that really doesn't upset the car as much as it does on a super speedway.
Well, you know, Davey's had a tough night. First, his back tire came off earlier in the race, and he had to run around on the brake rotor. Then he was involved in that wreck with Brett Bodine, and really looked like it took heavy damage to the right front of the car. But everything must be just more cosmetic. It looks bad, but I don't think the suspension has taken any bends or taken any damage.
If anything, it's helped him because he's running faster now than he had been earlier in the race.
Boy, he sure does seem to be going pretty good right now.
Davey Allison, hoping to put a short track program together. If this team can get their short track program together, I think this guy has got a real shot at the Winston Cup, not this year, but perhaps next year. And he'll be certainly one of the contenders when we go to the Super Speedway of Darlington for the Southern 500. Next Sunday, we'll have it live for you here on ESPN. Return with us in just a moment to Bristol. Dale Earnhardt, the leader of this race. Ned Jarrett asked him earlier in the weekend, what about Bristol International Raceway?
Well, it's my favorite short track for one, Ned, but it's an aggressive racetrack. High Bank Speedway really is what it is. It's not a short track. It's rough, it's tight, it's fast. You got to run that way. You got to race that way. You got to approach it and not really attack it, but you got to approach it aggressively. And
lot of the guys let the racetrack intimidate them, and they're coming to the race behind to start with. And I come into the race looking forward to and excited about it because I like to run it.
Well, you know, this time last year, Dale Earnhardt was totally dominating the short track competition. That isn't the case this year.
No, there's so many other teams that got their short track program together and are competitive. Earnhardt is a very aggressive race driver. He says you have to attack it. Well, he's attacking, no question about that. But,
he sure is attacking the race, Ned. He just put Richard Petty a lap down. As strong as Richard looked like he was running earlier, Dale Earnhardt is just, he must have passed twice as many cars as anybody else tonight.
Well, we'll go back now and show you some of the other cars that are still out there in competition, not necessarily in any order of running. There is the leader, Dale Earnhardt, car number 3. And behind him on the racetrack is the number 43 car, driven by Richard Petty. There he is. Richard was a major contender until he lost a lap. But Richard Petty has driven a very gallant race here and certainly has the enthusiasm of the crowd behind him. Currently shown in 10th position, 1 lap down to the leader. Now, right behind him is the number 8 machine, and that is driven by Bobby Hillin Jr. He was one of the provisional starters here this evening and has been struggling all race long. Now, you saw Alan Kowicki pass Bobby Hillin Jr. just a moment ago there. Alan is the second place car, number 7, the Wisconsin driver who set a new race record in qualifying and starting from the pole. Terry Labonte had a problem mechanically early in the race, and he got it fixed and is back out there in competition.
And then behind Terry Labonte comes Ricky Rudd in Kenny Bernstein Quaker State Buick, number 26. Ricky is running in 3rd place at the moment. He's had a good run here tonight. And running behind him is Bill Elliott in the Tours Ford. He's running in 4th position. He also has had a good run. And running in 5th place is Lake Speed in car number 83. You can see the distance between he and Bill Elliott. Lake, one of his better short track performances. Next in line would be the car number 5 of Jeff Bodine. He's running in 6th position. All of them seem to be sort of settled down now and running a distance apart out there. They've seen all the things that's been going on here tonight. There's Davey Allison in 7th place in car number 28.
It looks like Davey Allison's had a pretty tough time. His car looks awful beat up, but he's hanging right in there in 7th place. Next in line on the racetrack is the number 12 car, Mike Alexander. He was also in the garage area for a broken fuel pump, so he's many laps down at this time, but he's doing a pretty good job of hanging in there. The 27 car is the next car on the racetrack. Boy, that car has been through all kinds of trouble this week. He's in there now getting points for Rusty Wallace. He spun out one time when he got tapped from behind, and there goes Sterling Marlin around the 27. Almost all the way around. Sterling Marlin, he held on to it, went back behind the 27 car again, but Sterling Marlin has really had his hands full there. Here's a replay of the 44 car trying to pass Larry Pearson and getting just a little too high up into the loose stuff.
Boy, he did a great job saving it, though, didn't he?
That was a Dale Earnhardt job, no question about that.
All right, we continue our field summary, and the next car on the track is the number 2 car, driven by Ernie Irvin. Actually, we'll pick up on him in just a moment as he is passed by the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip, who is about to go a lap down. Darrell Waltrip, as you can see, is running just ahead of our leader, Dale Earnhardt.
And you wonder why we didn't see the car number 33 of Harry Gant in that progression. He had made an unscheduled pit stop for a change of right side tires.
And by the way, Ken Schrader is also in the pits for a lengthy stop. They've got the hood up on that car. The 55 car of Phil Parsons is next on the racetrack.
He had just been passed by leader Dale Earnhardt not too long ago. Of course, Phil lost some laps earlier with an overheating problem. Darrell Walton's about to go a lap down as Earnhardt moves up on his back bumper.
Trying to put the 9th place competitor a lap down. So there is the field summary that we have presented for you at the 342 lap mark. We'll be back with more in a moment from Bristol International Raceway. 49 laps completed at the Busch 500. Dale Earnhardt in the black number 3 GM Goodrich Chevrolet leads the field. The number 17 car of Darrell Waltrip runs in 9th position, so at the moment there are 9 cars on the lead lap, but Darrell Waltrip has been valiantly trying to stay on the lead lap. A good race on the track is the number 26 car of Ricky Rudd and the 9 car of Bill Elliott, and this is for 3rd position. The leader is Earnhardt, and 2nd place is Alan Kulwicki.
And Lake Speed is in that battle for 3rd. He's running in 5th position right behind Bill Elliott and Ricky Rudd.
It almost looks like Dale Earnhardt has kind of backed off from his fast pace that he was running earlier. You know, he was really just tearing through the field, and now he's kind of stabilized. Alan Kulwicki's on the same straightaway as Dale Earnhardt, and not really more than a half a lap behind is the 26, the 9, and the 83 cars.
Well, the number 9 car of Bill Elliott lost laps at the beginning stages of the race, and everybody had counted him out, but indeed he is right there and very much a contender for the win. Earlier we asked him, is this racetrack similar to any other on the circuit?
This racetrack, it's only a little more than a half-mile long, but it's banked like Daytona, and there's no place like it. It takes a total different setup. It takes the cars, you know, I can feel more, sometimes I feel more comfortable at Daytona and Talladega than I do right here. Just about on the way the car's running and how fast you run for a shorter racetrack is what it is.
Boy, what a tough break for Lake Speed. He visits the wall in turn number 2. Something obviously let go on the right side of the car.
I'd say the right front tire blew as he went into turn 2 and shot him right into the wall. He really had a good run going here tonight.
Sure did.
Yeah, 5th place, and he was really challenging 4th and 3rd place with Bill Elliott and Ricky Rudd.
This is a break for Darrell Waltrip because Darrell never did go a lap down to Dale Earnhardt, so that's going to keep him in the lead lap.
Lake Speed's crew, and Earnhardt is in. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, let's take a look at pit stop. Dale Earnhardt will be on the top, and we'll have Alan Kulwicki on the bottom. Dale Earnhardt's Goodrich Chevrolet getting right side tires as well, outside tires for Alan Kulwicki. They will go to the left side for both Earnhardt and Kulwicki. Earnhardt's crew pitting on the top and Kulwicki on the bottom. We'll see who will win the pit road race. Left side tires now going on Earnhardt's car. He will drop it off the jack. It looks like Earnhardt will be the winner down pit road. Here's Alan Kulwicki now on the jack. He will make his way down pit road. Let's go to Larry Newman.
Jeff Bodine is pitted right next to Dale Earnhardt. He's been in. He's already had the right side of his vehicle serviced. They go to the left side. By the way, there was an inordinate amount of debris in Jeff's grill. He had that slight contact with someone, and the grill, rather than being flat and fresh and flush in the front, is bent in a little bit. And in that little crevice where it's bent in, there was a lot of debris. Now, if this race goes the distance, some 150-odd laps or more, that could be a problem for him. Darrell Waltrip now comes in. And by the way, talking about pit strategy, the cars can now go the distance on the fuel that they have. Should we go green, that probably won't happen. Darrell Waltrip continues to get service in his pits. But the big question is whether or not the tires will hold up. Darrell Waltrip getting new, fresh rubber on the left side. Everybody is really welcome to get that. I'm sure they come in each time tonight.
Was a lucky break for Darrell Waltrip because he was just about to get lapped, but he survived through this incident involving Lake Speed.
And as Lake Speed was moving up on Bill Elliott, apparently the right front tire let go as he came off of turn 2 or headed off of turn 2 and slammed it into the wall. You can see some fire coming out of the exhaust pipe, and of course he was very close to his pits on the backstretch, so he just wheeled her right down into the pits. Darrell Bryant, his crew chief, and the rest of the Kmart Wins crew go to work on it, trying to get him back out there, see if he can make any more laps, try to pick up a few points.
Dr. Jerry Punch is with Sterling Marlin. He's had a terrible evening, and Jerry can explain Sterling's problems.
Well, Sterling's car will not refire, and the crew pushed it all the way down pit road, and finally the NASCAR official made them stop, and they've got a wrecker out to push the car, and the car now being pushed up in turn 1, and the car will refire as Sterling Marlin's car now moves around the track. We are 358 laps into this Busch 500. The leader is Dale Earnhardt. We'll be back in
15th caution period during the Busch 500 here at Bristol International Raceway. It's been an interesting evening, and we've got a lot more to go. Here's Larry Newber.
Now, Bob, I'm just south of the Jeff Bodine pit that's just toward the infield from the pit along the wall. And, you know, we've talked a lot about the shortage of Goodyear's tires tonight. Well, you can see 4 rows plus a couple of other extra tires. The 5th row just left. And the interesting thing about these 5 rows of tires, they were all stickers. Jeff Bodine does not have a shortage. And, you know, I walk over here and get a little closer to these tires, and I
I see a chalk mark number 25, but that's been rubbed off and replaced with the number 5. But he's got a lot to go to distance, I'll tell you that.
A lot of teamwork there, Gary Nelson. Of course, those both being Rick Hendrick cars.
Well, Ken Schrader's had his problems with the car, and he's many, many laps down, so I'm sure they've given the tires to... boy, look at this crowd shot of... boy, they're hamming it up, aren't they, Ned? Look at them all with the camera on.
Still very enthusiastic after 360 laps of this Busch 500. We're about ready to go green again. 7 cars in the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt the leader. Alan Kulwicki is second. Bill Elliott third. Jeff Bodine fourth. Davey Allison fifth. Ricky Rudd sixth. And Darrell Walker seventh as we go into turn 1. Dale Earnhardt moves out in front. Here is Harry Kent running right behind Earnhardt, but Kent is a lap down as a result of losing a lap on a green flag pit stop. Now Alan Kulwicki moving up on Kent, trying to get up to Dale Earnhardt. Bill Elliott running third, and in fourth place is Bill Elliott. You can see a lot of scrambling going on back in the field.
You know, we were talking about the tires, Ned. When Goodyear runs out of tires like they did, they brought 300 tires or more to the racetrack. There are tires here at the track. It's just a matter of who's mounted them up, who's got them, and how. Now you don't go to Goodyear to get your tires. You go to somebody who's dropped out of the race and buy their tires.
Here's a good battle as Ricky Rudd moves around Davey Allison, who had really been moving up through the field earlier, and then Darrell Waltrip moves around him, so I don't know if Davey's having some problems or what the situation is. Now Alan Kulwicki moves around the car number 33 of Harry Gant. Gant is a lap down, and here's Bill Elliott trying to move around on the high side of Harry Gant. Elliott running in third place. He won the race here in the spring, his first short track win ever.
And, of course, the defending champion of this race a year ago tonight, Dale Earnhardt, was the winner of the event. So two of the top guys are indeed former winners here in the most recent races.
Bob, I mentioned that there were 7 cars in the lead lap. Richard Petty is 1 lap down. He's in 8th place. I was saying that Harry Gant was 1 lap down. He's actually 2 laps down on that unscheduled pit stop, so he's running in 9th place. And 10th place, 3 laps down, is Bobby Hillen. The car number 27 being driven by Larry Pearson is 5 laps down. He's running in 11th place. The car number 31, Butch Miller, in 12th place, and Rodney Combs showing in 13th place.
Dr. Jerry Punch can wrap up this situation in the Wood Brothers pit.
We mentioned Kyle Petty's been getting slower and slower. They brought him in for a lengthy pit stop in this last caution. I'm with Leonard Wood. Let's find out what they did. Leonard, what's wrong with the car? What's been the problem with the car?
Blew out of gear about 10 times and over-amped the motor. Probably damaged it some, and he was having to drive it with one hand and hold it gear with the other. So I don't know how much damage it did to the motor.
Well, they brought him in and they tied a cord around the fixture to hold the car in gear. Now Kyle Petty is still in the car. They're trying to hold the car in gear, and we'll see how long it takes Kyle to get back toward the front.
Well, my apologies to Kyle Petty for saying that he might be getting tired. It just looked like that kind of a situation, but certainly if the car is flying out of gear. And here's a pass for the lead. Is Alan Kulwicki trying to pass Dale Earnhardt on the outside?
Oh, I'm telling you, Alan looks very, very strong. He passes Dale Earnhardt going into turn number 1, and Alan Kulwicki has the lead.
Earnhardt must have a problem. Maybe he's got a tire going down again, or maybe the set of tires he has on right now doesn't feel as good as some he had earlier, but he's, or maybe Alan Kulwicki just picked up that much speed. I don't know.
Well, look who's coming into the picture, Bill Elliott. He's been running right in there for the last 100 laps or so, back in the lead lap, but not really contending for the lead. Now he's right on Dale Earnhardt's bumper. Looks like he's going up around Earnhardt if he gets a chance.
Alan Kulwicki has never won a Winston Cup race. If he should win here tonight, it will set a record for number of different winners in a season. Here is Alan Kulwicki, and look at the contact that he had with Dale Earnhardt. Could that have created a problem for Dale?
Well, he could have maybe pushed a fender in on a tire or something like that. Certainly that's something he'll have to be careful about, and his crew will be watching. He's already had 3 unscheduled pit stops as a result of flat tires, but I don't think the set of tires Earnhardt has on now is working as good as the tires he had earlier, because that car is not sticking down on the inside of the racetrack the way that it was earlier in the race, where he can go anywhere he wanted to, and Bill Elliott really is giving it this.
This is the first time, by the way, since lap number 1 that Alan Kulwicki has led. The battle, though, is for second position. Bill Elliott in number 9 and Dale Earnhardt in number 3. As they go to the high side of the racetrack to pass the slower cars of Kyle Petty and Rick Wilson.
Well, you know, an interesting thing is the first, second, and third place cars right now in the race have all been 2 laps down at one point during this race. Look at the 5 and the 26 car. Ricky Rudd and Jeff Bodine. You know, I've been watching Jeff Bodine all night, and also Darrell Waltrip, but I think Jeff is driving a very smart race. He doesn't have a lot of body damage on his car. He hasn't been mixing it up. He's been giving a lot of people a lot of room. I don't know if his car is just a little bit slow or if he's just taking it easy and driving a real smart race.
Look at Darrell Waltrip go alongside of Jeff Bodine, but Darrell has to get out of the gas and stand on the brakes a little bit to avoid that Kyle Petty car.
Well, Jeff Bodine is running in 5th place. Ricky Rudd just took over 4th there a moment ago. Darrell Waltrip is running in the 6th position. Behind him is Davey Allison running in 7th position. Those are the 7 cars that are in the lead left.
And a lap down in 8th position is Richard Petty. As the laps are winding down now, 378 have been completed. So only about 122 more laps to go before we get the checkered flag. Hendrick cars running together. Jeff Bodine, number 5, and Darrell Waltrip at number 17.
The 25 car also of Ken Schrader. But you notice that the 5 car of Jeff Bodine and the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip look to be the most undamaged cars on the racetrack. They really have been keeping their noses clean. Darrell Waltrip almost won a lap down on that last caution, so he probably wasn't as quick as Jeff Bodine has been.
Well, we had mentioned that perhaps we thought there was a problem with the Dale Earnhardt car, but not really, because he has closed the gap in once again on Alan Kulwicki.
It could be that the set of tires that he put on might have had a little bit of push in them, and after they run them and get them heated up, the car will loosen up a little bit, and now that they've run 10 or so laps, maybe that's coming into play.
You know, I'm watching Dale Earnhardt. He is running lower than he has. Earlier in the race, I noticed he ran real low for a while. Then here, as we watch Darrell Waltrip trying to get by Jeff Bodine. Dale Earnhardt was running real low earlier, and then he moved up, and then he's back low. I think he's changing his driving style to suit the tires that he gets.
This is a battle for 5th position. It involves 3 cars, the 17 of Waltrip, the 5 of Jeff Bodine, and the 28 of Davey Allison. And Davey just won't give up, will he? Look at the damage on that car, and he really wants to do well here tonight.
So much for an undented 5 car.
Waltrip now has moved into the top 5 once again, and Davey Allison is trying to move back into the top 5. He's really had a good run here tonight. I'll tell you, he's very impressive on the short track.
He really is. Davey Allison in the number 28 car. His father, I know, Bobby Allison, is watching us tonight from the Rehabilitation Center near Birmingham. And again, we send our greetings to you, Bobby, and hope that you're back with us very, very shortly. Here's the leaders, Alan Kulwicki and Dale Earnhardt, and now begin to work some of the slower cars on the track. That's the 25 machine, driven by Ken Schrader.
And it's possible that Earnhardt's car looked like it slipped a time or two there when Kulwicki went by him, and he might have thought he had another tire going down, so he rode around a few laps and it felt okay, and he said, well, let me just put the foot back down to the metal here and get on with it.
You can see Rick Wilson's car back on the racetrack, but he is way off the pace also. There's about maybe 10 cars or so that are running off the pace. Kyle Petty has joined that group of, running maybe a second or two a lap slower than the leaders.
The last lap by Alan Kulwicki in terms of speed was 110.721 miles an hour. His qualifying speed, don't forget, was 116.893. So they're running about 6 miles an hour off the pace that he qualified at. And Davey Allison now begins to challenge Darrell Waltrip for that 5th position.
Boy, I've got to be impressed with Davey Allison. This has got to be the strongest he's ever run on a short track. I think he must have gained quite a bit of confidence in that win at Michigan last week, because he is really driving a different short track race than I've ever seen him drive.
Good run for Davey Allison, but it's also been a good run for Alan Kulwicki. Now he's behind. Is he losing the lead? Yes, he is. Dale Earnhardt goes into the lead as Alan Kulwicki got hung up just momentarily behind the Bobby Hillett car.
Well, I think Kulwicki went a little bit high in that turn, and Earnhardt, he is quick to take advantage of any little slip by anyone in front of him and move right around him.
Now Bill Elliott is in 3rd position and is moving in to challenge Alan Kulwicki for 2nd. Boy, there are, what, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 drivers. All of them are on the lead lap, are still right in there in contention. Anybody could win this race.
Yes, there are 7 cars in the lead lap at the moment, and you're right. Either one of those 7 could still win it.
And even lap-down cars can make up laps, as we've seen so much tonight. It's amazing what's going on here tonight.
We've got 108 more laps to go here, and it is indeed an open contest. Earnhardt, the leader at the moment. We'll be right back. Earnhardt leads the Busch 500 Winston Cup race over Alan Kulwicki and Bill Elliott. Now, as we go through the evening, we're going to be announcing the Goodyear Eagle Driver of the Race Award. And Goodyear will be giving $1,000 to the Grand National Racing Wives Association in that driver's name. We'll be selecting him in just a few more laps. Dale Earnhardt certainly a candidate, but boy, there are a lot of others out there that are also very strong candidates for that $1,000 honor.
Once Dale Earnhardt moved around with Alan Kulwicki, he has just driven away from him. Now, whether Kulwicki has slowed down, I don't know, but it looks like Earnhardt has picked up speed from what he was running when Alan Kulwicki was able to get around him.
Well, just when you think Dale Earnhardt is flat out, he looks like he picked up a little more speed. I don't know if he comes and goes tonight.
What leads me to believe that Alan has not necessarily slowed down is the fact that he's still in second position, and Bill Elliott has not been able to pass him for that spot. So Alan Kulwicki is looking for Winston Cup win number 1, and will you get that first win here tonight, Alan?
There were two tracks on the ASA circuit, Bristol and Winchester, Indiana, that are similar to this, a real high bank, fast half mile. And I'd run on this track a couple of times with ASA cars, so I had a little bit of experience before I ran a Winston Cup here for the first time.
Alan Kulwicki and Mark Martin, both of whom started on the front row, were from the ASA rankings, and both of them doing fine in Winston Cup competition. Larry Newber has a report on Alan Kulwicki.
Well, remember when we were down in the Jet pit a few moments ago, we saw those 5 sacks and 4 sacks left in stickers. Now I'm in the back of Alan Kulwicki's pit. I only see 1 set of floor stickers. The interesting thing is, it's a wide variety of people they have borrowed tires from. I see chalk marks on these tires from Mark Martin's car, the Junior Johnson Terry Labonte team, Bernie Irvin and D.K. Ulrich and Rusty Wallace. This is a potpourri of tires back here. They say they've got enough, not as many stickers as Bodine, but they borrowed from at least 4 different teams.
All right, thank you, Larry. That's Kulwicki and Bill Elliott battling it out for that second position. We have had a new record established here tonight for number of lead changes at Bristol. We have had 23 lead changes among 13 drivers. That's how competitive the racing has been here this evening. Now, Bill Elliott still looking for the opportunity to go into second position and pass Alan Kulwicki.
There's also a good battle for the 5th position. Ricky Rudd holds it right now, but Davey Allison is really working on him. Rudd's car goes a little high, and here's Allison trying to dip down on the inside, but he can't take the pass that time around.
Well, that is an awful hooking front fender on the 28 car. It's going to spend a few hours in the body shop when this race is over.
You can see him as he dips down on the inside. As Rudd's car goes a little high, David comes down on the inside, but he can't get traction off the turn. And Rudd does get traction coming off high, so he's able to stay out in front of him. There, Rudd goes high again. Davey down on the inside.
Certainly you think of super speedways as Davey's forte, the kind of tracks that he likes. He was 3rd in the Trans-South 500 at Darlington earlier in the year. We're going to Darlington next weekend for the... and we have a battle for second position, a change of position, as a matter of fact, as Bill Elliott has passed Alan Kulwicki. We'll be at Darlington for the Southern 500 next Sunday.
And Elliott just moved around with ease on the outside. Evidently, Alan Kulwicki is having a problem because he has slowed. Elliott has pulled away more than a second in that 1 lap since he passed him.
And back at this battle once again, Ricky Rudd and Davey Allison still running very close together. Here's a replay of how Bill Elliott took over second position from Alan Kulwicki. The car's now in turn number 2.
And you can see he pulls right up on the back bumper. Looks like he's going on the inside. He faked him out and then went on the outside as Alan slowed to go into turn 3. Bill Elliott just drove up on the outside and drove around him.
Well, just like a football player there with a little fake.
Yeah, a little fake move. You know, the best passing has taken place on the outside. Here's Davey Allison struggling and struggling with Ricky Rudd, trying to get by on the inside. It takes a lot more car. He finally makes it past Ricky Rudd. But it looks like it's a pretty easy pass on the outside for somebody like Bill Elliott or somebody like Dale Earnhardt.
Larry can tell us why Alan Kulwicki is dropping back.
it's a very sad story because I thought this guy was in a very good position to win his first race ever in his career. Alan Kulwicki has lost the cylinder. The gamer that he is, he's going to try and stick it out. His chances for victory are over.
An unscheduled pit stop here for Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip was running in the 4th position. The crew looking underneath the car on the right side. They jack up the left side, so apparently he had a left side tire going down. He had begun to move back a little bit. He was moving very high in the turns. They do change those left side tires to get him back out, but he has gone a lap down.
Darrell has won more races at this track than any other active driver. A total of 10. He's won this particular race on 5 different occasions.
As Darrell came into the pits, they weren't sure what tires to change. You saw that man motion to the other side. He apparently saw that the left side tires were flat, so they didn't have to change all 4.
Bill Parsons has spun in turn number 3. And the car is in the middle of the racetrack. Now slides to the inside.
Well, that was a tough break for Darrell Waltrip just a lap ago to have to come in and get a change of tires. He's trying to race Dale Earnhardt back to the start-finish line, but he's not going to catch him.
No. Tough break for Darrell Waltrip.
He is a lap down.
Bill Parsons' car is in the infield on the grass between turns number 3 and 4, and caution period number 14 comes out.
Smoke coming up from that car. He might have lost an engine as he went into the turn.
You can see the size of the air vents, that white thing on the right side of the car, and there's a smaller one on the left side. Those are air vents that they duct air into the driver to try and keep him cool, blowing air. And the faster you go, the more. I used to tell my drivers, if you're too hot, go faster, you'll get more air into the car. Let's go to Jerry Punch and Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt comes down pit road. Earnhardt on the top of your screen. Bill Elliott on the bottom getting the tire change. Earnhardt's crew, we're finishing the right side tire change. They will come around to the left side. Elliott's crew still getting right side tires on the course board. Now they move to the left side of the car. Earnhardt's crew already has the left side tires on. Good pit work by the Goodrich crew. Earnhardt's car down and away. Bill Elliott's car still in the pit, still on the jack for Bill Elliott. And they get those left side tires on. Elliott's car now off the jack, and he's moving down pit road.
Earnhardt and Elliott both move back out onto the racetrack. Alan Kulwicki is also moving out. Jeff Bodine's service is completed. The Rick Hendrick crew working on that car and getting it back out onto the racetrack. Now we can go back and replay the reason for the caution. It involved Bill Parsons.
And you can see he had already lost the car and spun around going into turn 3. He clipped the wall on the outside. You see Harry Gant going by there. There's another car going. Ricky Rudd has been in and out in the pits. So Bill Parsons, apparently the engine did not blow because he's got the car going again, and he's in the pits right now, and they're about to change the tires on it. So evidently just lost it going into turn 3.
Ricky Rudd catching up with the tail of the field as Alan Kulwicki is in, and they have the hood up on that car as they try to assess the problem. Larry reported a few minutes ago that he had lost a cylinder in that car, but they're buttoning it up once again and about to send Alan Kulwicki back out in competition. If he can't win, he'll get as many Winston Cup points as he possibly can. Back in a moment with more of the Busch 500 from Bristol. We are back for another restart. Here's the green flag, and we are back to racing. Darrell Waltrip to the inside. He did lose a lap during that little incident. The cars on the outside are on the lead lap, and there are 6 of them. Earnhardt is the leader. Bill Elliott and Jeff Bodine. The number 28 car of Davey Allison. Then Ricky Rudd. And the number 7 car of Alan Kulwicki is also on the lead lap.
Dale Earnhardt got a real good jump on the start, but here comes Bill Elliott just in a couple laps, got his momentum going. He's right on Earnhardt's bumper now.
That's Bill Parsons moving to the inside of the racetrack on the main straightaway as Bill Elliott now pursues Dale Earnhardt.
Elliott looks stronger right now than he's looked all night long. However, he has run good all night, but this is the first time that he's been able to challenge Dale Earnhardt.
Bill Elliott has won 4 times this year in Winston Cup competition. Dale Earnhardt has won on 2 different occasions.
It'll be interesting to see after about 10 laps if Earnhardt, the last time his car was not too good for about 10 laps. Alan Kulwicki moved around him, then all of a sudden Earnhardt picked up some speed and took off. It'll be interesting to see if he can do the same thing again.
It appears as if Rusty Wallace, as we watch Bill Elliott now move to the inside of Dale Earnhardt, it appears as if Rusty Wallace is going to lose the points lead after this race, because here is the third place guy, Earnhardt, in the points, and the second place competitor, Bill Elliott. So with Rusty, and Dale and Bill touch, and Earnhardt almost loses it, but saves it.
Elliott driving very aggressive here tonight.
Well, that is going to be a tough move for Bill Elliott to go around Dale Earnhardt. And you know they're both running flat out right now with, what, less than 80 laps to go.
Back 71 more laps to go as 429 laps have been completed. Let's go back and take a look at that once again. Some contact between Elliott and Earnhardt.
Elliott was trying to get down on the inside, but couldn't do it as he came off in turn 2. But as he go into turn 3, he drives in a little bit harder and puts the bumper to Earnhardt. Wiggles Earnhardt's car just a little bit. Earnhardt pulls it out and maintains the lead.
Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 is still running well, but unfortunately he is a lap down to the leaders.
Well, I believe the records are showing now that he's 2 laps down. We thought he only lost 1 lap on that unscheduled pit stop, but the record is showing that he's 2 laps down at the moment and about to be passed by Richard Petty, who is also 2 laps down.
That is a race for position there.
There is Richard moving to the inside and passing Darrell. Let's go to Larry Newber for...
Well, first of all, a little bit of a recap. The first time that Darrell came in just before the caution under green was because the left rear tire had gone down. There was a great deal of frustration, more than than is common to be seen, because Jeff Hammond and the crew down here, they actually felt they were in a chance to win this race. So they were extremely unhappy. Now, there perhaps is another tire going down.
So we'll continue to watch the Darrell Waltrip car and see if indeed he will make another pit stop. If he feels that the tire is going down, he'll undoubtedly come in once again and have it checked. There is first and second, once again, Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott. Jeff Bodine is third, Davey Allison is fourth, and the 26 car, Ricky Rudd, is running in 5th position. We are 435 laps into the 500-lap Busch 500. Time, the crowd is wide awake on its feet, cheering and having a great time here at Bristol International Raceway, watching the Busch 500 Winston Cup race. We're having a great time bringing it to you, and we are 60 laps from the end of the race. And the story is Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott running first and second.
You know, one thing to watch is that right front fender of Bill Elliott is really sticking out just a little bit, and it looks awful sharp. If those two if they got together, it could be very bad for Dale Earnhardt's left side tires if Bill Elliott tried to get on the inside of Dale Earnhardt. So I'm sure Earnhardt's crew has told him to not let Elliott along the inside of him.
You can see some sparks coming from the underside of the Sterling Marlin car as Dale Earnhardt passed him on the outside. Here's really a pretty good battle on the racetrack. That's Jeff Bodine in number 5 and Davey Allison in car number 28, and this is the battle for third spot. That Avalon Ford driven by Davey Allison and the Levi Garrett Chevrolet with Jeff Bodine behind the wheel. You'll notice those wheels on Jeff Bodine's car are what appear to be silver, and we understand they are from the Bud Moore team that, of course, his brother Brett drives for.
Yeah, that happens a lot, you know, in Winston Cup racing. When Goodyear runs out of tires, like I said earlier, the tires are at the racetrack. They brought enough tires to run the race. It's just so many teams bought extra tires that they're just mounted up on other wheels. So when Brett dropped out of the race, I'm sure one of Jeff's crew members ran over and said to Bud Moore, "Do you have any extra tires for us?"
Right here, Alan Kowicki has really picked up the momentum. I don't know if he had spark plug wire off. They thought he lost the cylinder, but he is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now. He is coming up very quickly on Ricky Rudd, who is running in 5th place, and right in front of him, Ricky is battling between Davey Allison and Jeff Bodine, who are battling for the 3rd position. Kowicki has run him down. He was about 5 seconds behind him a little bit ago. He's less than a half a second behind him now.
This guy just will not give up. Alan Kowicki, the misfortune at the early stages of the race, making a pit stop on the first lap, losing some laps, but he has fought and clawed his way back even to lead the race. Now, however, with the lost cylinder earlier. He continues to move up. Perhaps he has that problem corrected.
Well, that is something there. Third, fourth, fifth, and just a little ways back to sixth place car. This close to the end of the race, that is really something.
Now the Harry Gant machine, number 33, is not on the lead lap. He is 2 laps down, although he is running with this group of cars.
Gant had a good run earlier today, and in fact, he led the race for a while as Neil Bonnet moved down to the inside and let Jeff Bodine move around. But Gant, having made an unscheduled pit stop, lost a couple of laps. There's Alan Kowicki trying to move down to the inside of Harry Gant so he can get up there and pick that battle for the third position.
Boy, that is something. Look at Jeff Bodine. He knows that there's not many laps to go, 50 laps to go, in fact. He knows that he's run a smart race. He's really done a good job today.
Rudd is in trouble. His car slowed dramatically there. The third turn caused a log jam behind him. Everybody had to get on the brakes to avoid hitting him in the rear end of the car. Now he drops down to the inside of the racetrack, and even from our position here on the main straightaway, we can see the red light glowing inside the cockpit.
Yes, that red light came on, and what does that mean, Gary?
Well, it usually means you don't have any oil pressure. That is a warning light. Yeah, there it is. That's the oil pressure light. The oil pump belt has probably come off, or at least the whole engine may have gone.
Larry McReynolds and the team raised the hood on the car and tried to ascertain what happened, but it's a tough break for Ricky Rudd.
He's got the oil pump belt right in his hand there, and you call it, Gary. Came off him.
Yeah, tough break for Ricky Rudd. Look at how strong he's run all night, and then right here his engine goes, right? 50 laps to go.
Harry Gant and both Alan Kowicki had to really get on the binders to avoid a problem there.
They had to make an evasive move in a hurry, but they were up to it.
You look at the crew, you know, they won at Watkins Glen a couple races back, and now they felt like they were in position. You can just tell that they're not very thrilled about it. It's tough on the driver and the crew. You know, it's hard to find people to push your car into the garage area when you have a problem like this.
Well, we have a report, Gary, that the harmonic balancer might have broken on the car, which would have caused the belt to come off.
Right, exactly. The harmonic balancer is the drive for the oil pump belt. That's on the front of the crankshaft, and those things have been giving a lot of trouble. Once they start vibrating, it throws the belts off.
The Quaker State Buick goes behind the wall as Lake Speed is struggling on the racetrack. Here's another guy that ran very, very well. He's come back into the race, but very, very slow on the track. The leaders are Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott, and Earnhardt has a 8 or 9 or even 10 car length advantage on Bill Elliott. And we go back and pick up this battle for third now between Jeff Bodine and Davey Allison. And right there also behind Harry Gant, who again is 2 laps down, is the 7th car of Alan Kowicki. That's 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Well, Kowicki caught that bunch of cars in a hurry, but he hasn't been able to do anything with them since he caught them. He had been, as I said, 4 or 5 seconds behind them. He ran them down in about 10 or 12 laps, but since he's caught them, he hasn't been able to move around.
Well, Jeff certainly is not out of this race by any means, and he's had his troubles over the years here at Bristol. Does this track owe you a win, Jeff?
It's hard to say any particular track owes you one. You got to go out there and earn it. So, no, I don't feel like this track owes me one. I owe myself a good run here. I've had good runs going, and, you know, an accident here, an accident there, a blown engine, or a flat tire. I owe myself.
Well, Jeff Bodine is certainly not out of the hunt by any means, although he does have a little bit of racetrack between himself and the 2nd place car driven by Bill Elliott.
But he doesn't have much room between he and the 4th place car, Davey Allison. Now they've moved away a little bit from Alan Kowicki. Alan Kowicki has now moved around the lap car of Harry Gant. You can see Kowicki there coming into the picture. He's about 10 car lengths behind Davey Allison.
Bill Elliott continues to really set a terrific pace here in the late stages. He is about a half a lap ahead of this Jeff Bodine and Davey Allison group of cars. And there is the interval between 1st and 2nd, and Dale indeed has opened it up just a little bit.
Yes, he has. He's moved away. I think that Earnhardt is running maybe not as hard as that car will go. He's just keeping Elliott at a good pace behind him, but yet as he moves through traffic, he's able to pull away a little bit from him. So I think he's able to work traffic a little bit better than Elliott is at this point.
But Dale's car sure looks awful smooth. You can see it riding over the bumps. A few sparks there, but the tires are really working into the bodywork. The springs and shocks look to be pretty close to perfect on that car. It's not being upset much by the bumps, and that's probably why he's been able to make up the laps that he's done earlier. You know, tire problems put him behind, or else he may have led this whole race. He looks awful strong.
There are 33 laps as Dale crosses the line. 33 laps to go in the Busch 500. Earnhardt leads. Elliott is second. We'll be right back. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Gary Nelson, Larry Nuber, and Jerry Punch back at Bristol International Raceway as we are in the closing laps now of the Busch 500. 471 have been completed. Let's go to Larry Nuber, who is with Ricky Rudd, who dropped out of competition just a few laps ago.
Ricky Rudd is this significant bolt that holds the oil pump on. That's what put Ricky out of the race. Ricky, the team affectionately refers to your car as the pickle. The pickle was a sweet pickle for a while tonight, then it turned dill.
Well, you know, we had things going our way pretty good. I guess it ended up being a 50-cent bolt that put us out of this race. It's a little bit discouraging to run that long and all of a sudden have to fall out, but this Quaker State Buick run real good all night. The guys did a great job keeping us up front.
Ricky, there was so much talk about the track being dangerous because of its surface before the race began. I really haven't sensed that in this race. How do you feel?
Well, the biggest concern, you know, other than the bump, was the resurface job in turn 3. In practice, a lot of that track was coming apart, and it was a one-groove racetrack. But I was really surprised to see two distinct lines getting into the third corner. It turned out to be not too big of a problem after all.
Well, this really wasn't mechanical failure in the classic sense of the word. It was stress, maybe from the pressures of running on a high-bank half-mile racetrack.
Ricky Rudd out of competition here this evening. You know, one thing we should mention, the track tried very much to get this racetrack better. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that way, but our hats off to Larry Carrier and the owners of this Bristol International Raceway. Whenever we come here, we find it absolutely spanking clean. Everything is painted well. It's a beautiful facility to come to. Well, in our opinion, the Goodyear Eagle driver of the race is Alan Kulwicki. So Goodyear will be sending a check for $1,000 in his name to the Grand National Racing Wives Association. It will be from a very good driver to a very good cause. Alan Kulwicki has come back from numerous obstacles and problems this evening. He sat on the pole. He lost some laps. He came back to lead the race. Unfortunately, is not up to full song at the moment, but it's been a very good race for Alan Kulwicki, and we think he should be the driver of the race.
Well, here's Dale Earnhardt about to put another lap on Darrell Waltrip, who is already running 2 laps down. Earnhardt passed Richard Petty not too long ago. Richard is now 3 laps down. There's Harry Gant right in front. Darrell Waltrip and Gant is 2 laps down at the moment, running in the 6th position.
We need to watch if Darrell holds up Dale Earnhardt any at all. Bill Elliott's going to be right back in there again. So Earnhardt's got to be thinking that he's got to get around Darrell Waltrip, Harry Gant, and the next 2 cars ahead of him just to keep Bill Elliott away from him. Try and get some cars between them.
Well, Dale will pick up 5 bonus points tonight for leading the majority of laps. He has led 179, or had led 179 of the 465 laps, so that means he has led more laps and will lead more laps than anyone else. And 5 very important bonus points. Again, he was 3rd in the Winston Cup point standings coming in, 157 behind the leader, Rusty Wallace. And here goes Dale to the outside, but look how close Bill Elliott now is to Dale Earnhardt.
Well, exactly what Gary Nelson said. He was not able to get around Waltrip too quick, but now they have moved to the inside of the racetrack, and that gave Elliott a chance to catch up. But both Gant and Darrell Waltrip moved down out of the way and let the front runners go at it.
Bill Elliott goes to the high side of the racetrack now, 33 and 17. They are both 3 laps down and are battling for position. So you got to also consider that when you see the runners coming up on you very quickly.
Yes, they're battling for the 6th position, and now Darrell Waltrip trying to move up from Harry Gant to take the 6th position away, and Bill Elliott continues to stalk Dale Earnhardt.
We're going a little bit over our prescribed time on the air. there tonight because of the numerous caution periods that we have had. And by the way, we have had 14, one shy of the record here. So ESPN Sports Center will be coming up in just a few minutes, immediately following the conclusion of this race. And we are only 14 laps from the finish.
Yeah, stick around. It's going to be one heck of a finish, too.
You better believe it is. Is it going to be Earnhardt or Elliott or someone else?
Well, they're coming up on Alan Kowicki, who's running in the 5th position now. Kyle Petty in there, and the car number 8 of Bobby Hillen. Hillen currently shown in the 10th position, even though he's some 5 laps down.
All right, it's that time of the race where we pick the winner. Let's go first to Gary Nelson.
Well, I'm going to have to take the guy who's looked the strongest to me all along. You know, I would give the coolest move of the race award to Ricky Rudd. He looked so good in that wreck with Harry Gannon, saved the car, did everything right, and then dropped out. But the race winner, I think, would have to go, at least in my opinion, to Dale Earnhardt.
Well, he's my pick right now, too, because the car has been so strong all night long, even though he's got company on his back bumper there right now. But I'll go with Dale Earnhardt.
All right, let's go to the pits. Jerry Punch, your opinion, your choice.
I'll echo that sentiment, gentlemen. Dale Earnhardt's off the tough speed at Bristol at night, and he's looking awfully stout right now. The crew very confident. Dale Earnhardt's my vote.
Larry.
Obviously, you can't pick away from the black car. The only thing I'll tell you is I was asking the pit several times before the race began, who's going to win? This is an Earnhardt racetrack, and he's very good.
10 laps to go. Just to be different, I'm going to pick Bill Elliott. I think Dale will win, but just in case Bill wins, I'm going to come out a real hero in this one, aren't I?
Well, I'll tell you, one thing that might come into the picture, they're coming up on Davey Allison and Jeff Bodine, who've been battling for that 3rd position. They might catch them before this race is over, and it could play a role in the outcome of this race.
Coming up on 8 more laps to go. 492 are on the scoreboard. Now, Bill Elliott is right on the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt as they manhandle those cars into the 1st and 2nd corners.
Earnhardt's car going a little higher in the turns now than it had been earlier, so maybe he doesn't have the handle quite as good as he had earlier.
Well, this could be quite a deal if Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott catch up to Davey Allison, and that is right just the next few cars in front of them. Davey Allison and Jeff Bodine are racing for 3rd and 4th position. Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt are racing for 1st and 2nd position. That could be quite a finish.
Few sparks coming from the underside of Dale Earnhardt's car as Bill Elliott is right there on his back bumper. 494 laps are completed now. There are 6 laps, actually 5.5 laps to go now. Into turn number 3. Again, sparks from Elliott from Earnhardt's car. As Elliott is watching now, he may make a move on the inside of the front stretch. Not this time.
Boy, if you're the flagman, do you give the move-over flag to Jeff Bodine and Davey Allison? And it's going to be a tough call here for the flagman. We'll have to watch and see what he can do with this.
There you can see how Earnhardt and Elliott have caught now Davey Allison and Jeff Bodine, both of whom are battling for that 3rd spot.
Well, Earnhardt's car is working good on the high side of the racetrack. Davey's going to give him room as he goes down into turn 3. Very courteous move by Davey Allison, letting the leaders go at it.
Indeed he was, and we have to mention that Davey Allison was certainly one of the major candidates for our Driver of the Race award, but we instead awarded it to Alan Kowicki. Now look at Earnhardt having a difficult time getting around Jeff Bodine, but Jeff will drop to the inside going into turn 3 and allow both Earnhardt and Elliott to get around.
And as they come off of turn 4, it'll be 2 laps to go.
Doyle Ford has the white flag in hand, and next time around he'll display it, indicating 1 more lap to go. Earnhardt has really got his hands full. Bill Elliott is waiting for just that slightest bobble, allowing him to take the lead. Here they come off the 4th corner. This is the last lap of the race, and Elliott is trying to pull alongside. Cannot do it. They've got leg speed to go around there in turn number 1. They go into the 36 degrees of banking on the 2nd turn, down the backstretch now for the final time. It is still Dale Earnhardt leading Bill Elliott into turn number 3. Elliott will make a final bid, but it's not going to work. Dale Earnhardt wins the Busch 500. Bill Elliott finishes in 2nd position, and Jeff Bodine, I believe, is going to pick up 3rd with Davey Allison 4th.
Boy, what a battle they had right down to the end. Hard to believe that they could run 500 hard laps, and I mean they ran hard here all night long. As Elliott comes up to congratulate Dale Earnhardt as he passes him as they head into the gas pumps. But this track, as tough as it is on the drivers and the cars, it's that close of a race at the end of the race. And let's go to the pits where Larry Nuber is with Richard Childerson crew.
Well, we've lassoed him because he's on his way to victory lane. Richard,
Did you have any doubts those last few laps? You were very unemotional.
Well, I knew we had what I thought. I knew we had the best driver. If anybody can get around this racetrack, Dale Earnhardt can, and he won this race tonight.
Did he say anything about the performance of the car dropped off? Had it slowed down from like lap 460?
Yeah, the car got to pushing pretty hard there at the end. You know, he pressured the tires pretty hard. So he just did a great job there at the end with the tires. I'm just super proud of him and the whole team tonight. And our GM Goodwrench sponsor, you know, they just super.
Well, you're late for an appointment to Victory Lane. We're going to go back up top.
Dale Earnhardt wins the Busch 500, and we'll be back in a moment. The Busch 500 has been brought to you by Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name. And we'll be back to talk with him at Victory Lane in just a moment. 7:30 this evening when this race began. They've seen a great one here tonight as Dale Earnhardt has walked off with the victory. Let's review the top 10 finishers now. In second position in this race was Bill Elliott. It was a close finish. Jeff Bodine was third. Davey Allison finished fourth, and Alan Kowicki was in fifth. Finishing in sixth was Harry Gant. Darrell Waltrip was seventh. Richard Petty eighth. Larry Pearson in relief of Rusty Wallace was ninth, and Bobby Hillin Jr., a provisional starter, hung in there for a 10th place finish. Let's go to Victory Lane and Jerry Punch.
Well, an exhausted Dale Earnhardt climbs out of the Goodrich Chevrolet. Yeah, well, you see, were exhausted last year.
All them caution flags are exhausted. We ain't run, what, 300 laps under green?
Congratulations on a super good run, Dale.
Well, I'd like to thank Goodrich and everybody. You know, this race team works hard. We was running good last week at Michigan, and, you know, this old car's tough to beat at Bristol anytime it comes here, rough track or what. And it ran consistent. We had 2 flats and 2 laps down, and we fought it all night long. Once we got the lead there at the end, I was in good shape. The car started pushing there a little bit, and Bill ran me back down, and I was being careful with it. I didn't know whether I had a tire going bad or flat or what. And I was just trying to be careful and keep him at bay, and, you know, it worked out.
Well, Bill Elliott really gave you a run for the money toward the end, but you were able to hang on.
Well, that's true. He was strong all night. He ran consistent. He made some laps up, too, from flat tires and what have you. And, you know, it was a rough night, really. We had a lot of cautions, thank good Lord nobody's hurt. But, you know, it was a good night for the Childers team and Goodwrench.
Dale Earnhardt picked up his 7th career win at Bristol International Raceway, his 3rd win of the year here at the Busch 500. Gentlemen.
And his 34th career victory this evening. Our Winner's Circle interview has been brought to you by Goodyear Eagle Tires. Goodyear, because there really is a difference. So the celebration is continuing in Victory Lane. We'll be back to wrap up this evening of racing for you from Bristol right after this. Raceway and the results of tonight's race with Dale Earnhardt winning and Bill Elliott finishing in second position scrambles the Winston Cup points. Unofficially, Bill Elliott has the Winston Cup point lead with 3,027. Rusty Wallace is second with 3,011, and Dale Earnhardt, the winner tonight, is third with 2,901. Now, don't forget, SportsCenter is coming up in just a few moments with all the results from the world of sports. Next week, we'll have both IndyCar racing from Mid-Ohio and the Southern 500 from Darlington International Raceway in South Carolina. It's been an exciting evening of racing. Once again, Dale Earnhardt is the winner of the race, and we thank the Hardee's Food Systems for their in-car cameras. And my thanks also to Ned Jarrett, Gary Nelson, Larry Newber, and Jerry Punch. We'll see you on Speed Week at 7:30 Thursday and next weekend at Darlington. For now, Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone.